Welcome to Bless Radio 1 FM. Let's look into things with Brother Abz. Let's look into this. I'm a bit late today. Sorry for the late start. We're going to go into some, not even conspiracy theory, but the reality of a cashless society. It's coming very soon, so I'm going to cover it, the global aspect of it, and also the local aspect of how it affects us in the UK, because the UK has already got a plan for that. So we've got to look into this. I'm going to be playing quite a few video clips, and then after we go through the video clips, which is all based on empirical evidence, we shall just talk around that, and I'll share my thoughts with you about that. It'll probably take the full 2 hours, I'm sure. I'm going to go into it as far as possible, yeah? So just hang on with me and just walk with me on this one. It's very important, again, because I believe everything we're pushing through on Radio Bless Radio 1 is important. This is another one of these things that's very important for people to realize, because it's coming very soon. So it's more for the older school this is going to be dedicated to. All of us that still write out checks, that still do things in the old school way, and that hasn't quite made the transition from the old ways of doing transactions into the new style of doing cashless transactions. So this is for the older heads, and anybody in the family listening, please listen to this, because it's going to be of benefit to you. You need to be helping mum, dad, uncles, aunties, anyone that's not made the transition yet. Help them to understand this, actually even be their banker or financial advisor, but help them to become conversant with what's coming. Yeah, we're going to get into this, so give me a minute. I'm going to play a couple of tracks, and the first track being Natural Love. Natural Love by the Natural Mystics.
Make this world better place to live in. A world free of war is what it's got to be. No bias, no prejudice, no poor, no poverty.
Some nice vibes for Sunday afternoon for all my people there. Got time to listen. Those cooking, getting things ready for the big Sunday dinner. Keep it healthy, keep it nice, keep it grease proof, keep it as healthy as you can. I'm going to get into something in a minute, but I'm going to stay on track and play something more related to what we're going to be talking about. Tune called Money Can't Buy You Happiness by Me and You. Old school stuff for old school lovers in us. This is dedicated to everybody that knows the truth already. Money can't buy you happiness.
Attention, my dear, and it's no good reaching for your purse, 'cause my loving has no price at all, and coins are no exchange for my concern. All I'm asking is what a decent girl expects from a man, yeah. Keeping a house and 4 little children ain't easy. I'll do the best I can. I think you've been reading too much consumer articles. They're telling you to struggle. The more you buy a prize, while you're killing it to 5 cause shabba yabba yabba. Money can't buy happiness if you wanna live it up. You gotta have friends who share it with them. Shabba yabba yabba. Oh yeah, can't buy happiness if you wanna live it up. You gotta have friends who share it with. Oh yeah, now. Now. What's the use of your material things if when you're sad they can't place a smile upon your face? All your money cannot buy what my heart won't sell. So don't waste your time. There's more to life than wealth. Poverty lady. I've got to strive and strive, gotta keep my home inside. I'm the one I wanna talk of. I remember can't buy you happiness if I wanna live it up. Gotta have friends who to share it with. Shabba yabba yabba. Money can't buy you happiness if you wanna live it up. Friends who to share it with. La 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 la. Shabba yabba yabba. Money can't buy you happiness if you wanna. You gotta have friends who to share it with. Shabba yabba yabba. Oh girl, if you wanna. You gotta have friends. Oh, you gotta have.
Just remember this. Bless Radio 1 do this. Knowledge, wisdom, culture, understanding, overstanding, positive messages. Bless Radio 1, you have to tune in every time. Next tune up is Money by Timaya. Some Afro beats just to wake you up a bit.
Young D, I got Every night one day the boy they fly to Dubai.
for Dubai. I travel to America just to go charge my phone. Bad belly people are not gonna leave me alone. I say when money not take, people they carry me play. When money not take, everybody run away. When money not take, na. People they used to the play. Say when money not take, nobody look at my face. Oh God, they're feeling the bar. The ladies, they wanting the bar. When we going, it's good and good. Many people will be your friends. When money not take, people they carry me play. When money not take, everybody run away. When money not take, na. People they used to the play. I say when money not take, nobody look at my face. Hey, them say me a the close.
Original boy, Mr. Flavor, fuck the dance hall. Oh, yeah. If you get the money, make you spend them, but die. Oh, you make good at on no up in my sister. Once in a while, we supposed to be jolly. Oh, Yankulu, dance in my shady. When money no day, everybody a bubble some. I say when money no day, I got you the on you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, we're going straight into this one. This is about the cashless society coming in. It's something that's been planned for a while. It was on the circuit on the internet and all around people's mouths and on the rumor mill as a conspiracy theory. This is no longer conspiracy. This is natural fact. Globally, it's been called the CBDC. That's the initiative, central bank digital currency. This is something we need to go into. I'm going to play a few videos starting off with like how money started. And when we're talking about money and currency, like, because we got to remember money really started with Mansa Musa with the when he was giving out gold to everybody, the richest man in Africa. But that was currency. That's kind of a different thing. The actual money's been used as currency, but they're going to talk about how fiat money or paper money was originated. So this is videos going into all of this. I'm going to play one video at a time and talk around it. The reason why I play these things is because you'll hear from people a bit more rounded than me that has researched it a little bit more better than me, and it just sounds better to me. So, and then I can talk around it. I think, I've always encouraged people to ring up if they want to ring up. Yeah, I know it's a live show and people might not have the time or whatever. I'm sure the telephone number's on the screen. If not, I'll see if I can get it put up. But you're allowed to ring up. You can, if you want to say something about this, if you have something you want to share, you're more than welcome to give a call in. So I'm going to find this I've saved. We're going to go into this. This is right. This, you can get this on YouTube anyway. If you want to see it on your own personal time or in your own private time. The video's called "We Are Living Through the Scariest Economic Experiment in History Right Now." So yeah, there's going to be a lot of jargon, economical jargon, but I think the overall gist you'll get it as it's been broken down. So yeah, so this is kind of important, right? So I'm going to tune up on it and get the volume up.
History, an experiment which could help bring us into a golden age of a new kind of economy, or it could bring us into a new dark age that the world has never seen before. In the 7th century in China, copper coins were used as the main currency for Chinese merchants. But these merchants at the time began running into a problem. You see, these coins were quite heavy, and a lot of them could be used for a single transaction. And that could be paper seemingly recovered from the economic collapse that occurred last year. Unemployment rates are getting closer to normal, the number of business bankruptcies has hit a 2-year low, and the stock market is at an all-time high. On the surface, this seems pretty good, but in reality, We are actually going through the biggest and scariest economic experiment in history. An experiment which could help bring us into a golden age of a new kind of economy, or it could bring us into a new dark age that the world has never seen before. In the 7th century in China, copper coins were used as the main currency for Chinese merchants. But these merchants at the time began running into a problem. You see, these coins were quite heavy, and a lot of them could be used for a single transaction. And that could be quite an inconvenience for merchants wanting to carry around these coins around a city. So to combat this problem, Chinese merchants came up with an idea. What if they just deposited these heavy coins with a person or business and receive a piece of paper called a promissory note or banknote in return? You see, this way the merchants would not have to carry around large amounts of heavy coins all day, and they could be safely stored at a single location. Win-win. And thus the primitive form of paper money and fiat currency was born. Later on, this was implemented throughout the entire currency system of China. And after a few centuries of using this new type of currency system, the Chinese government noticed something strange. You see, a copper shortage caused the government to issue more of these promissory notes and less copper coins. And during this time, the government saw a massive boost to its economy, allowing for the government to spend more on things like military and infrastructure. And so after noticing this, they ran an economic experiment that would become very important to what we are experiencing today. You see, the Chinese government declared that their new form of fiat or paper currency was considered a public monopoly owned solely by the government. So this allowed the ancient Chinese government to completely control its own currency for the first time. And for a couple hundred years, the government's ability to print money on command and control inflation worked pretty well. But little did they know, a global threat was emerging out of Central Asia that would change the course of history. A man named Temujin had recently united the Mongol tribes in the year 1206, and soon after became known as Genghis Khan. He soon launched the largest military conquest in human history, with his successors eventually taking over China and forming the Yuan dynasty in 1271. And during the Yuan dynasty, the newly formed Chinese-Mongol government wanted to keep spending government money to further fund their conquests. But instead of limiting their spending or worrying about their government debt, they decided to just manufacture more and more paper money in order to fund their military campaigns. They figured that because they were the government and had a public monopoly on its currency, they could do whatever they wanted with little or no repercussions. So they essentially revamped their paper money, turned it into officially the world's first fiat currency, and started running their empire on a completely new economic theory. For a little while, it worked. But after years of war in Japan, Vietnam, Burma, and Java, and after years of ignoring debt and inflation, the economy of the Yuan dynasty began to collapse. Inflation rose to 80% in the early 1300s, there was a severe debt crisis, the population became impoverished within the span of about 5 years, and the government's theory on how printing money could solve their economic problems came crashing down. And it was this economic downfall, combined with the government's inability to help its people after several natural disasters, that led to the collapse of the Yuan dynasty in 1370. And now that brings us to today. You see, as we all know, governments from around the world have compiled record levels of debt in order to keep their economies afloat during this pandemic. They've also printed money at not only record levels for modern history, but levels that are very comparable to that of what the Yuan dynasty did in the early 1300s. And the reason why the governments are doing this is very similar. There was a big event which caused governments to spend a lot more money than they should and ignore debt. And so far, this strategy has worked, just like it did for the Yuan dynasty. And we haven't really seen any immediate impacts of having added 40% to the world's money supply within the last 13 months. And that leads us to what some are calling modern monetary theory. Now, I'm going to simplify this a ton, but essentially what some economists are saying is that as long as a country owns its currency as a public monopoly, which pretty much every country that has its own currency does, it can operate like a public monopoly and print as much money as necessary in order to avoid an economic collapse. In a sense, the government is no longer constrained by tax revenue or deficits. As long as it can print the right amount of money, it can avoid big economic hiccups. Now,
Yeah, I just stopped it there for a minute. He says it can avoid big economic hiccups. That's not really true, because the more you print money that's got nothing back in it, is the more worthless it becomes. So you could look at countries like Jamaica, even at one point Zimbabwe, because now Zimbabwe's turning it around and become gold backed. But all these countries that are printing a lot of this money, paper money, have found out the hard way that the money is literally worthless. Its value becomes, it devalues the actual economy and actually devalues the country. So yeah, I just thought I'd just snip that one in the bud there a minute. But yeah, we'll carry on one sec.
again, I should say modern monetary theory is a very complicated topic, and I simplified it to a great extent. But regardless, we are living through arguably the most dangerous economic experiment in history right now, and no one really knows it. And there are only two outcomes. One of which is that the money supply becomes tightly controlled by the world's governments, and the economies around the world adapt to this new monetary theory. And this has worked a few times. Think of Japan, think of Italy, countries that have tons of debt, yet never went through a true economic collapse. But another outcome is that this monetary experiment fails, and we enter a global economic collapse where currencies become essentially worthless. Now here is the big question. I mentioned earlier how 40% of the world's money supply was created within the last 13 months. Yet inflation has only increased from about 0.1% to just about 1.8%. So that brings up the question, why hasn't inflation gone through the roof already? Well, there are a few reasons, one of which is that inflation peaks during full employment and when businesses are allowed to operate at full capacity, and the world is just not at that point yet. I mean, there are still many places around the world that are still in hard lockdowns. But arguably the biggest and scariest reason is this. Something I talked about last year, which I call the economic waterfall. In a sense, every single economic collapse in history is not an event that occurs within a few weeks or months. It is usually a process that takes years, and then after several years there is a dramatic and sharp drop-off of the waterfall. And there are a lot of prolific economists and investors that see our current economic trajectory as being similar to that of Germany in the 1920s. For example, Michael Burry, who has correctly predicted and profited off of the last three economic collapses during the tech bubble in the 90s, the financial crisis in 2008, and this pandemic, well, he has been ringing the warning bell for an inflation crisis since February this year. He essentially has been stating that inflation crises are typically preceded by an economic or stock market boom and a spike in overnight fortunes, and then eventually it is followed by civil unrest and then an increase in crime, a high cost of living, and ultimately poverty. And after saying that, one can't help but draw parallels to what's happening today with what happened to Germany in the 1920s. You see, immediately after World War I, Germany began printing more money to help pay for its government debts. After the first year, the German mark was relatively healthy. In fact, many citizens noticed that they had a little extra cash on hand and started investing in the stock market. A year later, we saw the German mark go through a high level of inflation, which caused a lot of economic problems, but the currency itself did not collapse and stayed relatively steady for another 2 years. But as debts piled up, more deficits were ignored, and more currency was created, the system finally began to break in 1922 and eventually caused severe hyperinflation and a complete economic collapse in 1923. Let's think.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it off right there because I think you've got the gist of this. So basically, long story short, I had to just going to the originations of fiat currency, which is paper money, just to lead up to the fact of we're going cashless. It's just to give you a backdrop of money and how money works. How money initially used to be gold, used to be backed by something. It was like a promise to pay the bearer, which would have been having gold as a baggage, as baggages. Right now, there's nothing backing the money that's getting printed. There's no gold backing it. It's just a lot of promissory notes. So that's the way it becomes worthless. And as he was saying about hyperinflation, a lot of people don't realize we're heading towards it now because of high interest rates. As he says, there's a boom after, and the boom is just sucking the last of the money. And when the boom happens and everything's drawn out, then everything has to go up. Every single commodity, every single thing goes up. That's just naturally how it works. And then it leads to hyperinflation, which is something I should have really drawn up a video just on that, so people realize how serious things can be. Hyperinflation is if you take something out on interest, with interest on it, the initial interest is just gone. It was just spiked through, and you'll end up paying a multiple amount of interest, you know, on paying back whatever you've taken out on credit, whether it's a house, car, whatever. And this has been the law, especially now. The reason why I'm bringing this all up is that there's rumors of war looming, and that plus what's going on, it's not a good combination. So that's the reason why I'm looking into this global currency thing as well, so we can understand it a lot better, and what it means for everybody in the UK, because we live in the UK and we're very interested. We're going to look at it globally as well, because it is affecting every other country. It's not just happening to us. So that was basically a quick rundown on money itself and the aspect of money and how money works, how money is used and printed, and how it's spread around, how it becomes more worthless when there's nothing to back it, and most countries, to get out of trouble, economic trouble, they just keep printing more paper money that's got nothing backing it. You know, so it gives you insight into how some countries become devalued, like Greece. And I'm going to bring up Jamaica again, because a lot of people don't understand Jamaica's money is getting printed in this country by a German company. They're making probably more money than the Jamaicans that the money's going to. So, you know, this is the paradox we're living in. So yeah, I'm going to go into another thing to do with the CBDC, central bank. This is another short video, and it's called CBDC, central bank digital currency. You can get this one on YouTube as well.
Finance and banking. New ways of saving and investing and spending money have changed our lives. Currently, we pay more and more often, not with physical money, but with a card. But more importantly, with the advent of cryptocurrencies, the specter of private money, means of payment that is beyond the control of the state, has haunted the world. Some people enjoy it, others worry. Governments tend to worry about this as it significantly changes the way society functions. These changes in the way you pay and the emergence of cryptocurrencies have forced governments to somehow adapt to the new reality. A frequent problem faced by cryptocurrency users is the high volatility of their value and the problem of ensuring the security of their electronic means of payment. Some states have decided to solve these problems by providing their own infrastructure for conducting transactions with cryptocurrencies and introducing their own digital currencies. Technically, central bank digital currencies, which we will call digital currencies from now on, are not cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are based on blockchain technology. Meanwhile, digital currencies may or may not be blockchain based. It depends on what technology central banks decide to use. Digital currencies may also take the form of accounting entries, only in an account held on a platform managed by a central bank. The topic of the central bank's digital currency is more complex than it seems. In order to understand the significance and impact of introducing these types of currencies, it is necessary to be aware of several elements that together make up a central bank's digital currency system. 1. A central bank's digital currency requires an appropriate platform. 2. Digital currency can be of various natures. 3. The digital currency of a central bank is changing the way economic policy is conducted. Therefore, as part of the introduction to the topic of digital currencies, it is worth discussing briefly the most important issues related to the functioning of these currencies and the changes related to their introduction. Sorry to interrupt the video for this quick announcement. If you like our videos and find them useful, please consider supporting our channel, either by the join button or our videos channel. Thanks for watching, and now back to our main topic. As the name suggests, digital currency is used in digital transactions. We do not have physical money in hand to spend, but we do dispose of money in digital form. For this, you need an appropriate digital platform that processes transactions and connects directly or indirectly people using digital means of payment. Establishing such a platform for digital currency has 3 goals. 1. Include cryptocurrencies in the official money circulation. 2. Provide better protection of the ownership of means of payment in accounts and physical cryptocurrency wallets. 3. Ensure that digital currency can be traded. Currently, existing banking platforms for electronic transactions do not process transactions using digital currencies and cryptocurrencies. Therefore, a central bank that wants to control cryptocurrency trading and introduce digital money similar to cryptocurrencies must expand the existing platforms. And it can do this in 2 ways in the first place. First method, an electronic platform not based on blockchain. The central bank may set up a centralized platform that will be operated entirely by the central bank. Like Google, Amazon, and Facebook, the central bank will have servers and computers to operate this platform, which will handle transactions between banks, but will also have individual accounts and record who they are and how much money they have. If the bank
Sorry, I had to drop one right in there. As he said, Amazon has got their own crypto. For those that's interested, so they're doing their own crypto right now. Amazon, would you believe it or not? So this is what's going on, yeah, and it's already started. So yeah, these things is like so near. I don't think people realize, and a lot of people's actually gone for this Amazon crypto stuff already. So I thought I'd just creep that in.
The digital currency will not be a cryptocurrency, as it will not be based on blockchain. Second method, use a centralized blockchain network. In general, we associate blockchain with decentralization, but this is not always true. Blockchain can be centralized in the sense that subsequent computers that wish to connect and process transactions must be approved by the main body that has started building the entire network. Moreover, such a body may also introduce changes to the functioning of the network without the consent of the other members of the network. Such a private blockchain is used, for example, in the e-Crown pilot project run by Sweden's central bank. It is the central bank that approves who can join the blockchain network that it manages. In this way, the system can grow and does not rely solely on the central bank, but still, the central bank controls the entire network, the issuance of electronic currency, its features, and its circulation. In both of these cases, such a central bank managed platform makes it possible for people to open an account directly with the central bank. Now, the central bank will be able to maintain the accounts of everyone and will have access to each of these accounts. The central bank will also have control over the properties of digital money. Digital money has many forms. Since this money is completely digital, the state can issue different types of digital currency. Therefore, when digital currencies are introduced, it is important to keep track of what a particular currency put into circulation by a state is. Firstly, digital currency can be a form of digital cash. This money is not redeemable for cash, but is a different form of money that is only an electronic record on a digital platform or a physical cryptocurrency wallet. The relevant record is then transferred during the purchase in the system controlled by the central bank from one account to another, or transferred from one wallet to another. Secondly, the digital currency of a central bank can be a standard accounting entry, as can our deposits. Its nature may be similar to our deposited funds in a bank. When we deposit funds, then the bank owes us liabilities. When paying electronically through our bank, we instruct our bank to transfer the appropriate amount of money to another person's account. Nowadays, when paying by internet transfer, we transfer the ownership of certain funds to other people, namely the ownership of the physical cash. It may be similar in the case of digital currency. The digital currency of a central bank may also be such a title to physical cash. If it would work like this, the digital currency is nothing controversial, just a new form of ownership title to cash. Unfortunately, governments and central banks are currently striving for a cashless society. That is, all means of payment are to be in electronic form, and cash is to be liquidated. This means that a person with such a digital currency will not be able to exchange it for cash, as it is currently the case with funds in a bank account. Digital currency has one feature that current central bank money does not have. It can be programmed. This means that a central bank can issue different digital currencies, and each will be slightly different. For example, several types of dollars. This is because the central bank can program its currency, so it has the ability to issue different dollars depending on its needs. For example, one type of dollar may have an expiration date. It will disappear from your bill after a while if it's not spent. It is also possible to specify different interest rates for different digital currencies. For example, the rates for this dollar that will be used by energy-efficient cars or household appliances will be lower. Therefore, one central bank can essentially issue not one digital currency, but digital currencies. The ability to program digital currency and release different types of currency is changing the nature of central bank policy. Until now, the central bank influenced the economy by manipulating the interest rates at which it concluded transactions with financial entities. Now, the central bank will be able to influence.
Save £390 on BT Broadband and BT.
Yes, you can appreciate what he's saying. Basically, how the cash the CBDCs work, and how they need platforms to reach out to house all the different transactions. And basically, it's just the long and short of it that it's cashless, basically, yeah. And there's going to be different forms of it, and he was breaking down the different types of forms of currencies that they could possibly have. So basically, it's just different ways to bamboozle you and take your money. Because you see, the thing is, if you're not acquainted with this and not understanding the law, usually what happens with the lawmakers, they can manipulate it into such a way that you lose a lot of money before you do understand how this law works. So this is the reason why I'm talking about this. This is, again, for all of the older school people over 60. Especially, you need to hear this because it's about what you've worked hard for, what you saved up for. You need to have the family or a family meeting, get all the family members in and update your business affairs, get all your stuff in line, get ready for what we're going to embark on. I'm going to hit another one because I'm going back to back, and then I'll then go into the overall analysis of all of this. I've talked they've talked about the central bank currency, which we've just got into. So now you know about the concept of central bank currency. It is global. This is something every country has agreed to. So this is not even like a conspiracy theory. This is reality. This is what's going to be done. So now we're going to go into because the whole point of it is how does it affect us in the UK. At the moment in the USA, I've heard the Fed has said by 2023 they're going to be cashless. We'll see, because that's just round the corner. I hear that Canada is going through theirs now, and that they're on the way to being cashless. And what other country? I think Australia as well. You know, don't quote me for saying this, but I'm very sure Australia as well is going through that same thing. And they'll tell you the the cons of this happening, because there's a lot of cons to this, which we'll be going into. Yeah. This has been delivered by these guys with no biasness. This is just professional research. So, you know, it's not my opinion. You know, this is what's happening. So now we're gonna go into I'll just do this short snippet. No, in fact, no. Before I go into the short snippet, I'm going to go into this is very now. As I said, this is about UK. We've got one. This video is called Bitcoin. I think that's the terminology that they was going to call it, because a lot of people don't realize Rishi Sunak, when he was in office, he actually done an introduction of CBDC for Britain, and he gave a speech outlining like the beauty of it. He didn't give the exact date of when it was going to be launched, but he said this is already in the making. So this was even like an ideology kept in the office. This was something that was brought out. It's in cast iron, it's written. And if you want more information about this, you can look on the Bank of England's website, and they go into this as well. But I'm going to go into this video because I think it's kind of interesting. It's for about 15 minutes. It is very interesting. The debate might seem a bit slow, but they're quite informative, and they ask questions that everybody else asks about this situation, and it's quite informative. So it's going to answer a few questions you might have, and I hope you find it interesting. This is all about the cashless society that's coming. It's about getting ready, getting prepared, everybody getting ready, but more importantly, the older school. A lot of our older schoolers worked hard, saved up their hard-earned cash, saved up all what they sweated for, and it's very important that it's guarded. It's very important that family members take control of their families' financial movements and financial transactions, because we're getting to a stage now we need to be securing ourselves a little bit more as new changes are being made. So yeah, I'm going to play this one now, and this one is called Bitcoin Treasury exploring sinister new UK digital currency.
Do you see what they did there? According to the Daily Mail, the new proposals would forever change the way that we spend money.
Yes, unlike other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ripple, the new Bitcoin would essentially be linked to pound sterling, meaning that its value wouldn't fluctuate as much due to its being backed by the central bank. While according to insiders from the Bank of England, the proposal is the biggest upheaval in the monetary system for centuries.
Well, to discuss this further, we're now joined by the financial writer Dominic Frisby, author of Daylight Robbery, How Tax Shaped Our Past and Will Change Our Future. Welcome to the programme, Dominic.
Thanks very much. Good morning, folks.
So I'm interested in how this proposal for a national cryptocurrency would differ from the cryptocurrencies that exist, because as far as I'm aware, cryptocurrencies are unique in being decentralized, in not being controlled by state actors, and being relatively anonymous to use. This seems completely different.
Well, there are cryptocurrencies that follow that description you just gave. There are private currencies, there are decentralized ones, but there are also what are called stable coins. And this would effectively be a stable coin. It is possible for one body to issue a currency with certain criteria, and so the Bank of England would be one of those. And we don't know exactly how it's going to work, but it would. Yes, one assumes one Bitcoin would be exchangeable for £1, and you would most likely have a wallet, which is a bit like an email address, if you like. You'd have a wallet with the Bank of England, and then you would spend money from that wallet, and presumably as well, the Bank of England could deposit money directly into your wallet. Taxes could be removed directly from your wallet. Fines could be extracted directly from your wallet. When you have money in the bank, there are certain rules in place that give you a certain amount of privacy. It's likely that with a central bank digital wallet, a lot of that privacy would be lost. And obviously with cash itself, well, that's totally private, and you sacrifice some of that privacy for the convenience that a bank gives you, the ability to store money safely, to send it over distance, and so on.
I'm not necessarily the most technologically savvy person, and fintech sort of goes over my head a little bit. So when I hear about all these cryptocurrencies emerging, I do sort of think, what's the point almost? I mean, I have that very basic question. And so for lay people like myself who perhaps don't fully understand what the significance of cryptocurrency is and what the benefits are, what would you say are the benefits of moving to a world where we use cryptocurrencies more so than cash?
Well, the first thing I would say is that there's a close relationship between money and technology. And whatever we use as money has always developed as technology has developed. So, for example, after the invention of the printing press, we started using paper as money. And, with the invention of digital technology in the 70s and 80s, money became digital. We stopped using checks, for example, and paper money now represents only something like about 3% of all the money that exists. 97% of money is digital. And so this is just the latest technological evolution. The advantages of using a currency like Bitcoin that is in limited supply is that it's apolitical money. In other words, it's money that is not state issued. And so when, Rishi Sunak or whoever it is decides that, we need to print more money, you can't print Bitcoin. No, it's beyond the manipulation of state actors. And so, for example, the third highest use of Bitcoin in the world at the moment is in Venezuela. And it's, where, they've got hyperinflation going on and inflation has just destroyed people's lives. Well, that's as a result of government actions. Bitcoin gives you protection against that. The pound has lost something like 99% of its value over the last 100 years. And, if you just think how much less house a pound bought you 10 or 20 years ago, or even how much less petrol or how much less everything, state currencies are losing their value all the time. And so the purpose of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin is to give you a store of value that protects you from debasement by state actors.
Whereas, of course, Britcoin would have none of those advantages. It would be controlled by the state, it would be pegged to the pound, and it seems like what you were saying earlier is the advantage is not so much for the user of a Britcoin, but the advantage is for the government to see exactly who has what and where, to tax people directly and to track every transaction made. This sounds quite sinister.
It's extremely sinister. It's straight out of Brave New World or 1984 or whichever is your dystopian novel of choice. I do think CBDCs, as they're called, central bank digital currencies, are inevitable. And I think the Bahamas of all places is like leading the way. It's like got the most advanced CBDC. But the word is that China wants to get its CBDC out in time for the...
Just starting out on your currency trading journey? Here's one
of the biggest tips. Sorry about that, little lad. So you got the gist of what he's saying so far. We'll resume him now.
DC out in time for the... Is there an Olympic Games in China in a year or two? Is that right? The Winter Olympics? Yeah. I think there is, but China wants to get its CBDC out in time for that. And, China's pretty far ahead. And, Britain, fairly typical. We're sort of in the middle of the pack. But the scope that central bank digital currencies gives for state control is terrifying, because CBDCs are programmable money. So certain things can be, if you imagine with your cash, you can spend it when you like, with who you like, whatever. With CBDCs, with programmable money, expiry dates can be programmed into that money. If you don't spend this money, they might decide, there's a financial crisis and we need to bail out the economy, and so people need to get spending again. We'll stick an expiry date on people's money. And so you have to spend it by a certain time, otherwise it's just gone. You can program where that money can be spent. So, you might have certain retailers that are perhaps, government-approved retailers, and you might have other retailers that aren't. And you say, no, you can't spend that money there. Or you might want to send your money to somebody in a certain country. No, you can't do that. So it gives so much scope for state control. And the combination of CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and these social credit scores, the social credit rating apps that Boris Johnson's talking about introducing as well. The combination of those two in tandem, it means a dramatic loss of privacy and a dramatic loss of freedom. And I don't think most ministers even understand what's going on. It's like there's some kind of machine in the civil service that's pushing all this stuff forward, and all the MPs are like, what? What's this? Most MPs couldn't even tell you what fiat currency is. And, there's just such a lack of... These decisions are being taken, it seems, without proper electoral mandate, if that's the right word.
So this was being spun by the Treasury as something that was new, that it was exciting, that was leading the world. What you're saying now is that this is actually just the way that the whole world is going, that it's not particularly innovative, that it's not particularly special, that it gives a lot of power to government. But is there a silver lining here? Is the fact that we're seeing a mainstreaming of crypto as a form of currency, that people will start diversifying what kind of currencies they hold? And whilst Bitcoin may exist and may have all of these downsides that you were talking about, people may be also more likely to hold other, more secure, more private currencies.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sayings that's doing the rounds at the moment, if you think of on a motorway, you have the slip road that goes onto the motorway. In America, they call that the on-ramp. And the saying that's doing the rounds at the moment is that CBDCs are the on-ramp into Bitcoin. They're the slip road into Bitcoin. But just normalise it. And the more people that are using, the only escape from all of this is to use non-state money, to use apolitical money, of which Bitcoin is the most famous. But there are thousands.
Okay. Now, you'd have noticed my guy couldn't stop hailing out Bitcoin, yeah? And I know a lot of people have been hearing about this Bitcoin, this notorious Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, it don't really matter. It's the same thing. Now, just a bit of something out there for all the Bitcoin lovers out there that likes to talk about it's decentralized, the government can't get their hands on it, and and all this is nonsense. We live in a system, and within a system is subsystems. Bitcoin is just a subsystem. And what this is, in my opinion anyway, and if anybody knows any different, let me know. In the system that runs subsystems, it monitors the subsystem. And it might not regulate it at the beginning, but when they understand it well enough, they regulate. If you look through history, you'll see that a lot of these things have happened. It's it'd be so naive for people to believe that, we've got this wonderful currency and it's undetected by the government, and when you can go and do a transaction on your phone and history will show what you've done. If you did the transaction on your laptop, you push up history, it will tell you. So it's not being detected by the government. I think that's one of the arguments to me that just blows that out of the water. You have to prove that with hard scientific facts how this happens. So all of this adverts for Bitcoin as the remedy for all of this is to me, it's just like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. The reason, again, as I said, this thing about the currency is because not just the movement and the transition, is the way our currency's been manipulated and used. We've talked about on the previous shows that I've done about not being happy with this system and paying for things within the system that you're not happy with. When this move happens, you'll have your money will be fully in things that you didn't really want to have your money put inside of. That's centralized. That's when it becomes in the centralized bank. So, for example, if they want to go around create tyranny around Earth, your money's involved in that. And then on top of that, they will give you their money at their discrepancy, which is what he was talking about, the control of the government, state control. But what he doesn't understand, the same speaker, as there's a lot of controls that's been imposed on crypto right now. And I'm going to play a couple of clips. I'm going to start off with, my biased objective. I'm not even going to lie to you. I have got a biased objective to that. I'm not a crypto fan. I think it encourages gambling. It's basically gambling. It's legalized gambling. I mean, if anybody had a gambling habit and wanted to kick it, this is not helping at all. Yeah, because it is a gamble. Yeah, because a lot of people that are doing it are not crypto conversant. I think it was. I think my opinion is that it was a governmental experiment to get everybody to get ready for the cashless society. So when it does do the transaction, it's seamless. There's no problem, no headache. It just goes in naturally because people are now accustomed to gambling online, and they used to putting stuff in wallets, taking stuff out of wallets, and doing all this stuff. And all these wallets are just hypothetical wallets. It's all like VR, virtual reality, and it's really it shows you the fraudulence of the monetary concept. It just shows you that it's all like an imagination. It's all like something that isn't tangible, because we've gone from tangible to intangible, and we've done it without no complaint. And we do need to complain about this, because once you can't feel your money no more, you might as well say goodbye to the aspect of finance, unless you're smart enough to know how to manipulate this CBDC and use it to your advantage. So now I'm gonna go into a short video about crypto, because a lot of people want to know about crypto. This video actually slams crypto, but in the slam he's given a historical input of the origination of crypto, and he's also done it's a very interesting, I'll just play it. It's a very good video, short video, very short, from the Gravel Institute. It's important that you get this. Please take it seriously. This is for everybody, young and old, but more for my elders in particular, because as we were saying there, we need the family members to be in control of the finance, because a lot of us don't understand it. A lot of elders need to have online banking on their phone. They also need to upgrade their phone, that will take apps and stuff like this. I mean, it needs to be done, so that they can be in control of their money, and shown how simple it is, because it's not that hard, So I think this is things that needs to be addressed. I hope people are taking it seriously. The name of this video is called "Why Bitcoin is a Scam" by the Gravel Institute. As I said, I'll be playing a series of more short videos just to have something to talk around, because if it just comes from my mouth, it's not really going to make all that sense. But if you hear it from somebody that's well researched or well renowned, it will I think it will be taken more seriously. Then we can talk around it, discuss it, muse it over in our heads, and yeah. So this piece, after I play this, I'm going to play a few tracks, so it will give you something to think about. But because we've gone from the journey of the concept of a cashless society, which is the central bank digital currency, and we've gone into the history of money, how money came into being, and how paper money came into being, and then we've come through to the concept of what will happen in the UK with the Bitcoin, with the Britcoin and the Bitcoin, and how the CBDC can be abused by the government to do certain things and stop your freedom of use, and actually do different things to stop you from getting your full freedom of your money, and that's what you work for. You work to enjoy the freedom of spending your cash. So they've pointed out the cons of this. I haven't heard hardly any pros inside of this. I've heard millions of pros for Bitcoin. I've seen guys going into different countries and spending Bitcoin and having a whale of a time. It's all nice, it's all good. I'm going to go into the concept of Bitcoin. Well, I'm not going to go into. Mr. from this institute is going into this, and it's wonderful stuff. So yeah, let's go.
Early 1920s, a businessman in Boston had a realization. Everybody wants to get rich without doing any work. So this businessman came up with a brilliant idea to make a lot of money. And like all good financiers, he promised to make those around him really rich too. The businessman told his investors he was buying discounted coupons in foreign countries and making money reselling them in the US. There was a middleman opportunity that he claimed was totally safe and guaranteed a return. The businessman promised his investors a 50% profit in 45 days or 100% in 90 days. What this businessman was doing was paying the people who got in early with the money for the people who got in later. Those later investors, excited by hearing about a guaranteed high return investment, were left holding the bag. That businessman was named Charles Ponzi. His name has become synonymous with these sorts of schemes. His Ponzi scheme made millions of dollars in just a few months, but such a con can only go on for so long. Eventually you run out of other people's money, and for Ponzi, when that happens, you go to jail. 100 years later, a new bunch of wealthy investors say they too have a brilliant way to make you a lot of money. They promise to make you really, really rich. The best part is, they say, the returns are guaranteed. Anyone can buy with any amount of money. It's called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital token with no physical or government backing that's run by a global decentralized network of computers. These computers keep track of every Bitcoin transaction and can move Bitcoins easily from one user to another. There are a limited number of Bitcoins in the world, 21 million, 19 million of which have already been mined. These mining rigs are large systems of computers which perform complex calculations, expending huge amounts of energy to create new Bitcoins. Massive Bitcoin mining farms are set up in places like Siberia and northeastern China, where people take advantage of cheap electricity in massive, wasteful facilities. But how Bitcoin works doesn't really matter that much. All the stuff you hear about peer-to-peer technology and the blockchain really only explains how Bitcoin works as a currency. But despite the name, Bitcoin isn't really used much as a currency at all. When people buy Bitcoin, they rarely use it to buy goods and services. They're really buying access to a Ponzi scheme. Only 1.3% of Bitcoin's economic activity is in merchant transactions. The rest is speculation, people buying it just because they think it will go up. And the more it's used in speculation, the less incentive people have to actually use it as a currency. Why buy something with Bitcoin when you can hold it and make some easy money? That's why the peak of Bitcoin being used to buy things was actually back in 2017, before its price really took off. And a currency should be stable in value, not bounce all over the place the way Bitcoin does. Rises are nice, but Bitcoin also falls a lot. If you want to speculate, that's fine, that's your own business. But you don't want the value of your checking account to gyrate wildly and unpredictably just because Elon Musk has tweeted about it. If you have friends or relatives who are into cryptocurrency, you know that the reason that people are into Bitcoin is because they think it can make them a lot of money. Because Bitcoin is just a digital token without any inherent value, they're not really making an investment. They're engaging in a financial betting game. Anything you invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin just goes into the pocket of the previous holder. There's no real income generating asset behind it. What they're betting on is that other people will bet on it and the value will keep going up. If more people are joining the market, you can make money. You're not a sucker if the person next in line is a sucker too. And as long as you can make it out on time, the next guy is left holding the bag. The good news for these gamblers is that there are a lot of suckers in the world. The bad news is that eventually you run out of suckers. So to keep the scam running as long as they can, the wealthy proponents of Bitcoin say that it's changing the world. They say that Bitcoin is going to replace fiat currencies like the dollar. They say that it's going to undermine cruel dictatorships and greedy banks and help usher in a libertarian utopia of privacy and security. And most importantly, they say what every scam artist has said since the beginning of time. Get in right now and you'll make quick and easy money. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And for the last few years, they've actually been right. If you'd spent $100 on buying shares of Apple in January 2016, you'd have about $540 now. If you spent that $100 on Bitcoin then, you'd have made more than $9,000. But that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is working. It means that a lot of people have fallen for the scam. And the more people who buy it, the more the price fluctuates, and the less usable it is as a currency. The success of Bitcoin as a speculative commodity has made it socially useless. You'd actually have made just as much money buying a parody cryptocurrency called Dogecoin that makes none of the grandiose claims that Bitcoin does. In fact, it explicitly started as a joke. Meanwhile, as more and more people speculate on Bitcoin, it consumes more and more electricity and emits more and more carbon. Because of how complex Bitcoin transactions are, they consume an incredible amount of power. One Bitcoin transaction consumes more electricity than the average American household does in a month. Bitcoin as a whole consumes more electricity than entire countries: Venezuela, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and the Philippines. If Bitcoin ever were to be widely adopted, it would consume many times more energy than is produced in the world today. Bitcoin isn't useful at all, except maybe as a symbol of how capitalism has changed. from something that could once build factories and transcontinental railroads to a system of pure speculation, totally divorced from the real world. Look at this system. Millions of computers emitting huge amounts of carbon, making pointless calculations in order to gain access to a digital token with no actual use, all while the infrastructure crumbles and people go hungry. This is a terrible way to organize a society. But because Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme without any benefit to society does not mean it's going away. Bitcoin has become a culture, an identity. Amid the vast meaninglessness of a society in decline, a lot of people find value in it. In a world where traditional forms of identity are in decline, family, unions, religion, new ones like cryptocurrencies spring up to take their place. The fact that so many lonely, atomized people find community and meaning in Bitcoin means that for the people at the very top, people with millions or even billions of dollars, there's a ready and willing community of suckers to exploit. You can still make money off cryptocurrencies. In an age of low wages and mass underemployment, people will always be lured.
Yes. You got the gist of what Mr. said. It's I think it's straight to the point, very concise. I share every sentiment he said because I've always said this. I mean, I've lost a bit on it, so I know from experience. I know that, every new fad comes, there's always a new hustle, there's always a new scam. I mean, this is definitely one of them. It's just a very sophisticated one. And what you got to realize is, as he said, there's not much Bitcoin getting produced to the amount of people buying it. And then on top of that, it's not really in circulation in the sense of it being spent. It's only used for speculation, which is very foolish. It's like me saving up all my gold and not spending a bit of it and then popping my clogs. You understand me? What was the use? So, the whole point of you earning something is to spend it and enjoy it. The whole point of you saving up something is to eventually spend it. So, we've become a system, a set of people that are hoarding unnecessary things and do things for fashion and for fad and because it's trending and without researching what it really means. It hurts because, at the end of the day, people, we've got to have more sense than that. You've got to look at things realistically and see in what way really does this help you. And if you have capitalized from Bitcoin, you should be able to turn it into cash or turn it into something, into an asset or into something material that you can see the worth out of it. Otherwise, it's going to be virtual reality money. It's going to be about as it will have as much worth as monopoly money. That's what I was fighting to say. Yeah, so with that in mind, I'm going to play a few tracks and leave everybody to muse over these last few videos. We've gone from cashless, the definition of cashless, the definition of cash, how it all started, definition of the Bitcoin or the one that we've got coming for this country. I heard it was planned for 2024. The fact that the Fed, America's going to be having theirs next year. A few countries like Australia, Canada are wrestling with this now. It's got a lot of bad reviews already, as we already talked about on the other video, the Bitcoin one, what the government can do with this, with the powers that they get controlling your money. After the break, I'll go into the repercussions of that. And for all those Bitcoin lovers, I'm going to play a couple of anti-Bitcoin sentiments based on facts. Yeah. So that's it. So, yeah, give me a couple of minutes to rustle up. I'm going to play a few tracks as we go into this. I hope it's been an interesting afternoon. I hope this all makes sense. I'm only trying to put stuff on the show that is relevant to all of us living in the country, and also to give us a global perspective because everybody's going through the same thing at the right now, just for us to be on the right mind frame as to the realities of what's going on around us, because we're moving through very quick and there's a lot of laws getting passed very quick, and if we don't really get in line with what's going on, we might get caught off guard. And that's why, as I say, all my peoples, mummies, daddies, that's worked hard for their life in this country, we need to have a family meeting, and if you're on your own, Get people in the family, people that you might know. If you're on your own, you know, elders that's on their own, they'll have to try and find somebody they can trust to help them with their financial affairs, because it is imperative that you do get up to date, you know, preferably before the year ends, and have all your banking details in line. Have your cashless app. Have your transactions getting done and monitored, because when you have the app actually tells you when you spend, what you spend. You can account for your money, and there's many new accounts now they call neobanks, which will probably be still under a subsystem within this system, but still you've got some slight maneuverability with these neobanks. They tell you exactly how you do day-to-day transactions with no hidden charges, with no nothing like this. That will be something I'll do in another show to talk about finance, because I will be going into the financial business soon. I'll be talking probably a 2 to 4 hour slot on just finance, because when I do the finance, I'll do it with black businesses linked together. So to show you that we're not right, we're on the mind of finance, but you know, let's look at the black businesses that are out there actually fighting the financial battle and winning. We could talk about that, and hopefully I'll have a few interesting people on the show to discuss that. Yeah, but I'm gonna play something more apt for this thing. 1978, Dennis Brown, Money in My Pocket.
Money in my pocket, but I just can't get no love. Money in my pocket, but I just can't get no love. I'm praying for a girl to be my own.
Yelbuga. No man I say. Why man is too soon? I'm gonna play some dice. Dice. I must have you not deal with them things.
Sugar Miner, gambling. For all you guys on the crypto thing, check this out.
Gambling. Some people have no luck in it at all. I man have no luck in the gambling. I man have no luck in it at all. I play bone dice, make you hide from me wife. Play bone dice, make you hide from me wife. Play pizza pot and they would kill I with Jack. Play pizza pot and they would kill I with Jack. I raise ass and the ass run lost. I raise ass and the ass run lost. Some people have no luck in the gambling. Some people have no luck in it at all. Gambling is a thing, the more you play, the more you lose your money. And then you're trying to stay, to win it back. But at the end of the day, you got no money in your pocket. Go on and come on, I wanna rock it. Hey, you got no money in your pocket. Gambling man, you have to stop it. Some people have no luck in the gambling. Some people have no luck in it at all. I man have no luck in the gambling. I man have no luck in it at all. Buy Japan and then me can't catch the man. Buy Japan and then me can't catch the man. They pick up a one, they would kill I with you. They pick up a one, they would kill I with you. Play trick yard, me have to hide from me yard. Play trick yard, me have to hide from me yard. Some people have no luck in the gambling. I man have no luck in it at all. I man a go in the gambling. I man a go in it at all.
I'm a running card, I know, super.
So, man that have a play strictly in that. That's why I choose.
Some say to lose, you know.
No, I'm a lion, I man prepare skate for that, you know, say. I man a fight and some man free, but you say I man a go deep with the gambling. The gambling is a thing I say I just can't win. Gambling is a thing I say I just can't win. No matter what I do, I just can't win. Go ahead with your gambling. Oh yes. Some people have no luck in the gambling. Some people have no luck in it at all. I man have no luck in the gambling. I man have no luck in it at all. Play bone dice, me have to hide from me wife. Play bone dice, me have to hide from me wife. Play Peter Pat and they would kill I with Jack. Play Peter Pat and they would kill I with Jack. Play coon can say me can't get a hand. Play coon can say me can't get a hand.
If I show you my money, are you gonna dance you? If I show you the way, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my pockets, baby, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my wallet, I will show you the money. Baby, dance from you. Baby, move from you. Don't go from you. I will show you the money. Baby, dance from you. Show me your body. Don't go from you. African, baby. Ooh, yeah. See, African, baby. I don't know, yeah. The money too much, I'm dashing. Are you feeling my singing? Hi, whatever you're thinking. Can't you see what I'm feeling? Lagos to Dubai, Abuja to Mozari, go back to Mumbai. Now we see music that want to dance to. Are you gonna dance you? If I show you my money, are you gonna dance you? If I show you the way, are you gonna gonna dance you? If I show you my pockets, baby, are you gonna dance you? If I show you my wallet, I will show you the money. Baby, dance from you. Baby, move from you. Don't go from you. I will show you the money. I will, baby, dance from you. Show me your body. Don't go from you. Mini, money, mo. Baby, give me all your loving. Mini, money, mo. I don't go take your love for granted. Baby, fire go Joe. Baby, you and I just they go. Don't let bad mind stop our flow. Baby, make we just they go. Money too much, I'm dashing. How you feeling my singing? Buy whatever you're thinking. Can't you see what I'm feeling? Lagos to Dubai. Abuja to Missouri. Go back to Mumbai. Now with the music that want to dance to you. Are you gonna dance to? If I show you.
Kid, show me the money. I'll show you the money. Straight in. This is about crypto for all you crypto lovers out there. This one's called Crypto Dead, my realistic warning. And straight on the back of that is why crypto isn't coming back. I'm going to play these two back to back without talking. It will take up about 20 minutes. I'll be winding off after that. And then I'll be going into a second half of another show. So yeah, let me go straight into Is Crypto Dead, my realistic warning. Listen to this chap. He's a professional. He's been in this. He knows what he's talking about. You'll hear what he says about this. For all the crypto lovers out there.
You're not going to like what I have to say. So let me apologize, and I suggest you just skip this video. Because I used to be like you. I used to be that crypto guy. In fact, I built a heck of a following on TikTok, being that we buy, we hold, we get rich together guy. And I absolutely believed it at the time. And I've been investing, or had been investing in crypto for years and years and years. And we watched it pump to the 60,000s Bitcoin. But times change, and sometimes when things change, you have to change with them. So successful businessmen and women, we adapt, we shift, we overcome. And you can't get stuck in the past. So I'm sorry to all you crypto maxis, but crypto's not our future. Will crypto have a place in the world forever? Probably. But here's what's changed. The world. Governments have recognized the threat crypto is to their currencies. Untraceable, untrackable. The governments will never let crypto happen the way we all expected it to. And the increased competition, too many coins, too many tokens. That's a problem too. And the fraud in crypto. And although most quality crypto can't be hacked, crypto gets hacked. It's not mainstream. It never will be mainstream. Is it quick? Is it efficient? Maybe. It's quick. Is it efficient? I don't know. It's still costly to send funds with crypto. So I used to be that guy. I was a Bitcoin maxi. I was that guy that thought Bitcoin would surely go to $100,000 by last December. I was wrong. I was that guy that thought it's only a matter of time. Bitcoin 500K, Bitcoin a million. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I don't think the world will let it happen. I don't regret all the buying and all the selling. I made a lot of money in crypto, and I lost a lot of money when when Bitcoin went from the mid-60s all the way back down. But months ago, and I'm recording this in September 2022, and on TikTok, I told everybody I was selling all my Bitcoin in the mid-25,000s. It turns out that was a pretty smart move so far. Will Bitcoin ever go back up over 25,000? For sure. How long will it take? Nobody knows. Here's why I don't regret getting into crypto. Crypto led me to being dedicated to learning how to trade, to learning how to chart, to figure out buy and sell signals. And as crypto began to fail me, fail us, fail the world, well, I learned to adapt. I pivoted into the stock market. And today we're killing it in the stock market every day. This isn't a sales pitch. You already know what we do in the stock market. What I'm saying is, it's time to get...
Anyway, yeah. So that, you get a gist of what he's saying. This is it's almost sound like an ex-druggie telling you that how he kicked a drug. So it's important to listen to these guys, because a lot of them have they've got the financial acumen and experience that we don't have. And then rather than you getting singed, you know, this Ponzi scheme of the Bitcoin, you know, just to avoid it, yeah. again, straight into this other young lad. He was an expert. He's telling you why he thinks crypto is dead. Yeah, I'll go straight into this guy there. 1 minute.
To issue an urgent warning to crypto investors and stock investors that, I think there's going to be a market crash coming up soon. There's a lot of news to cover. The Federal Reserve raised their interest rates. Their target is actually going to be higher, and that's going to signal a strengthening dollar, weakening a lot of assets worldwide, in addition to October crash month coming in soon. But if you were in our last video shorting Ethereum, then you made a nice tidy profit here with Ethereum down a hilarious 23%, Vitalik's little token. And I think all of those ETH maxis, maybe they owe all of us an apology by now for having sucked so many other innocent bystanders into this mess. And if you want to know my opinion, I don't think Ethereum is ever coming back. The narrative behind Ethereum is fundamentally broken, actually. It went up and now it is just going to go all the way down. That's my own hypothesis. By the way, you may have noticed this monitor, ultra wide, is brand new. I'll talk about it a little bit at the end of the video. I'll tell you what I think about it, what it's all about. But here's the thing about Ethereum is that it is no longer a global blockchain. Right, it is almost entirely captured by US regulators. Do you think foreign country governments are going to want to store any amount of wealth on the Ethereum blockchain when the US can just come in and freeze the validators and they can sanction stablecoins? USDC, USDT, they all have OFAC blacklists now. They can regulate the various DeFi protocols now. They can even censor the blockchain at the transaction level. And we see the SEC now claiming jurisdiction over all of Ethereum blockchain, noting that since most of the validation is happening in clusters more densely in the United States than in any other country, then therefore they have jurisdiction over all of Ethereum and they can control it. And just to make matters worse, the Commodities FTC recently sued a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, for offering illegal off-exchange trading of digital assets, noting that the founders thought that by transferring control to a DAO that they would be immune to enforcement, and so were then violating CFTC regulations with impunity. The order found that the DAO was just an unincorporated association. Now, all of this is...
Yeah, that answers the question for all of these guys that are with their slick sales talk about coins and trying to get people to peel off money about, it's decentralized, nobody can touch it. He's just given an example. And there's millions of examples out there now. There's actually other guys that's gone as far as to say that show you how it will be assimilated into the central banking system and become regulated. So all of that stuff that they gave us at the beginning about the beauty of Bitcoin and wow, it doesn't make no sense. I'm not going to go now. I've just gave you a little taste of different things just to build up the argument about the crypto, just to, just in case there's many of my people out there that's got their hard-earned money and want to invest it in things. Put a big X on that one. That's a no-no. There's other ways to invest. We'll be talking about that in this show. I'll be doing a whole 4-hour-long program discussing in ways to invest. Talk to people that are already doing it. Talk to the entrepreneurs. Talk to some important people that's got schemes up. Not schemes to rob you, but schemes for you to make money. Yeah, well, this isn't about making money. This is just about conserving your money and looking after what you've got, being ready for the changes that the world's going through, and for everybody to be on their P's and Q's with their money, because we know that as melanated people, they're one of the first people they like to target for extracting money is us. So I'm just making sure everyone's aware about this. There's things that's going to happen. The last 2 small videos I'm going to put just for a few minutes is basically just to reaffirm about the banking system. It's almost like a scaremongering couple of videos, but it's not scaremongering. This is what's actually happening. And the reason why I'm playing it is just for people to realize, just in case this might have happened to you, you will understand what this is. So you've got to be prepared, because, they say to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And if we're not really prepared for what's about to come, a lot of us are going to be bawling and screaming for no reason, when we could have done something about it. So I'm going to play this one, which is called UK banks freeze people's accounts due to let me see, I didn't get the full title. Due to recession. Yeah, and this is true stories. This is not something that's been made up, so you're going to listen to what's been said here. Okay.
Inside our banking system, the globalist money-grabbing and power-grabbing situation is getting worse, especially in Britain, as banks are sending out letters to let people know about some changes in the banking system, but no one's actually paying attention. Watch this. Now, this has to become a massive news story because I don't understand why it hasn't received any traction yet because it was on social media first. Hopefully, this channel, obviously, we have actually managed to somehow a couple of times lead the news agenda by revealing some stuff, and then the mainstream media followed us. Hopefully, this could be another one. This is about the banks who are sending out these guided changes letters, and this issue here. I'm going to show you this clip. And then we're going to come back and tell you the problem.
So this is a letter from Halifax to their customers. So this highlighted section here says, we've added a new condition that says if it's necessary due to economic circumstances that affect the banking industry, we may restrict the amount of money that you have in your account by either applying a limit or by imposing a charge. If we have to do this and it applies to your account, then we will write to you with more information. For me, this smells a little bit Greece-ish. Do you remember when the government went into people in Greece's bank accounts, froze money, took money out of their bank accounts?
Yes. So I had to double check because this could just be a theory. This just could be a crazy person on TikTok talking about this. But then we discovered, not just Halifax, but even Lloyds and other banks and banks as well, NatWest are the same. This is the part of the Lloyds letter. Yes, it says exactly the same thing. We've added the new condition that says, if it's necessary, due to economic circumstances that affect the banking industry, we may restrict the amount you can have in your account, either by applying a limit or imposing a charge. If we do this and it applies to your account, we will write to you with more information. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Banker, for letting me know that you're going to take my money. As the guy said on TikTok, they did the same thing in Greece. The globalist establishment, the whole of the establishment is becoming basically one massive giant monster. Everything is big on a national level and international level. So governments are becoming big. They're already massive. Even on an international institution level, when you have the IMF, the European Union, WHO, all these single entities, put them all together, they're all linked. Now, all this power-grabbing situation gives them the power and the flexibility to do these things. Do you remember Justin Trudeau in Canada, a few months ago, a year ago, when the truckers were protesting, and he managed to freeze people's accounts. He managed to take people's money from their accounts. He managed to actually completely take control of their lives and personal identity. The government establishment in general, it's not just the government, the state now has the power more than ever before, especially as we go towards the cashless society idea that they're talking about, to completely control your life. If you say the wrong thing, if you protest, even if not that, even if you're not a rebel, if it's a special circumstances like a recession that is affecting the banking industry, they don't care about you or your pocket, they care about their own industry, so they will freeze your account, they will restrict the money you can have, they will impose a charge. It's absolutely disgusting, and this needs to get out there. Share this video if you could, because we have to spread the word, we have to share and raise awareness, because otherwise the media, if they're not going to talk about this, is absolutely, that means they're complicit. At best complacent, at worst complicit. We're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to tell you how Germany.
Yeah, and that's that. So basically, as the gentleman said, the government will have a lot of play, a lot of things they can do, a lot of ways they can manipulate people's money and manipulate people through their own money because, you've given them the power to. I mean, in China at the moment, if you look at China, you could do your own research and see how China's getting on with it. I've seen some horrifying cases. One case that stands out in my mind is one guy, this is but nothing to do with because I like MMA fighting. There was a guy that was a fighter, and he challenged all of these so-called masters in China. He was actually exposing them, going around exposing, saying that a lot of these guys don't really do the art they say they do, or they're not as masterous as what they claim to be. And he was exposing a lot of these guys do it for just tricking the students to extract money, and it's a scam and whatever. So anyway, he was going around beating these guys up. A lot of these masters, I think, were affiliated, so-called masters were affiliated to the government, and it got back to the government what this guy was doing, and basically to shut him off, they cut off his because I think their money is linked to their social credit. The same thing Boris Johnson wants to bring here. They've already got that running in China. So if you're not if you do something that is socially unacceptable to the government, you lose on points and stuff like this. Anyway, long story short, Mister's come out to go on a bus, couldn't get on a bus because his credits wasn't up, and according to what he thought, he had enough money there, but because he's done something unfavorable to the government, they stopped him from getting on the bus. So this was years ago. This was I was like, wow, and I thought, well, that's far from us. That's not going to happen. But now looking how things is panning out, because that's the part of this I have not really gone into, is how they're going to manipulate it and use it against people. Anybody now that is singled out for any reason, whether it's debt, whether it's something that's been said, whether something that's been done, you can actually be dealt with on an economical level by the government. They can actually cut your financial freedom and prevent your quality of life, and prevent you from doing the things you need to do. So for that kind of control is it shouldn't be tolerated, and we shouldn't even allow anything like this to come near us, because especially as melanated people, we already have a lot of constrictions put around us. This, to add this to it, is just as nonsense. And for all my white brothers and sisters out there, they're listening in, they know this is a nonsense. I know there's a lot of protests going on, and there's a lot of people standing up against this. We're soon going to have to join it and make this be known. We can't stand for this. This is going to be like, it's going to cause anarchy. And if people don't believe me, the anarchy is already here. We watched a movie called Purge, and I'm going to talk about this in the next part of the show. In fact, I'm going to talk about social commentary. But the Purge, right? Which they didn't link it to anything to do with finance or whatever, but this will be linked to finance. Because when people can't get hold of cash and their freedoms are curtailed, it's going to cause an implosion. They don't have access to getting towards the people of authority that they have the anguish with, so they turn on each other. There's Purge is the same thing. They've given like a program called Purge, which I never took it serious. I've only started watching it when we had the lockdown, and when I started watching it with Miss Madam, got to realize, wow, this could be the future. This could be like something that's coming. Now they say the state of Illinois is actually living under Purge rules. They've actually introduced that to Illinois. And I think there's another state in America. So this is just like, it's no longer conspiracy. It's no longer a fantasy. This is reality. So, we've got to wake up to what's going on. We've got to prepare for what's going on. We've got to be active in looking out for each other. We've got to be active in looking out for our elders, especially the elders that go out and buy food on their own and stuff like this, especially family members that don't get visited. We've got to check on them. We've also got to help them get their financial stuff into order. We do need to be on this, because our people, we need to be more accountable for our elders. I do know there's a ton of the elders that ain't banking in today's terms. They're doing things in the old school way, looking to go over the counter and stuff like this. They need to be brought up to date before the year ends, because most of these over the counter activities are going to be done with. So it's just a little warning shot and a warning cry, and basically expose of the cashless society that we once thought was going to be something of the faraway future. I've already told you that the Fed in America is looking to bring theirs in by the year 2023, which is only a few months away. Australia's having problems with theirs, and so is Canada. The when I say it's the problems, I'm talking about the citizens are rebelling. They don't like it, and they can see why it's no good. Now, next couple of videos, well, the last video, in fact, well, there'll be two more, in fact. This guy called the Economic Ninja, I listen to him a lot. He's a very sensible guy. I listen to a lot of these economic guys, because what's happened is that long time ago, economy never used to be always away from the politics. You know, it used to be just economics, this, that, and the third to do with money. But now, all these economists, they're starting to bring political aspects and social commentaries inside of the financial aspect. So it's actually dragging in these two components, which they never used to be brought together. Now they're being brought together. A lot of people are realizing the financial repercussions not financial repercussions, the social repercussions of bad financial transactions, and when finance doesn't serve the people, how it can hurt the people. I mean, this guy's talking about the banking system, and this has all just been about the banking system. So I'm going to continue as I started. So we've gone from cashless, we've gone through to the banking system and the Bitcoin. And we're going to just talk about, well, he just said, the title of it is called Get Your Money Out of the Banks. So yeah, this is another one. I'm going to bash this finance one because it needs to be shouted out on the highest rooftops. We've all grafted hard, we've all worked hard. We're not working for nothing. We're not working to lose our money. We're not working to have anybody come with any more tricks and thievery, stealing our hard-earned cash. And we're not going to throw it into any schemes, Ponzi schemes like crypto and stuff that is just being founded by, I'll give you a quick joke. I've got a cousin. She called and told me, oh, I've got a lovely scheme. It's called TBC. And the guy's called Chris Kringle. When I looked at this guy's name, Chris Kringle was the old name for Father Christmas. And I said, is this guy joking? And you know what? I lost 30 quid, which isn't much. But, yeah, I mean, I set up a TBC wallet and did this, that, and the third. And when I did the research, because I didn't research the guy before, but when I did the research on him, I said, this has got to be a joke. And in the end, she lost a ton of money. In the end, she's even gone as far as to bring a judge in, and he lost a ton of money. So I said, you see, so this is what happens, and these scams, it's going to happen to us because, not just because our gullibility, it's because we're lazy to think of better alternatives, and we have millions of alternatives. One of them, I'll give a quick one out. We could all get together, clump together and buy gold. We can buy gold and use and leverage the gold. This is just like the system to do a form of banking of our own. We could even do a communal banking based on gold and the gold that we own. So it's not a joke. And when we get shot any promissory note, we've got backages, we've got gold to back it. And all of these things can be done. You just need some good accountants. You need some good Moors in your team, because the Moors know how to manipulate the paperwork to make this become a monetary aspect. And we just need to be doing stuff like that. These things we do need to be thinking about, because the system is imploding and it's losing money. It's losing money because as a business, it's expending more than it makes. And because all of this fiat money, all of these monies that's getting printed has nothing to back it. They're promissory notes with nothing, no value to them. So when the system shuts down, all of that promissory money that you're holding, you'll be holding something worthless. So my advice to everybody is, if you've got collateral, got money, change it into collateral, change it into land, change it into something abroad. Think of Africa, because Africa is an emergent economy, which means it's going to become a superpower of the future, guaranteed. It's having what they call exponential growth. Nearly all the parts of Africa are starting to get wise to colonialism. There's a lot of things happening, even though I know France has still got their claws in certain parts of Mali and that and Africa and that. We'll talk about that as we move along. But we're Africa is definitely the place to be. It's the place to be. And for all of us over here that's wondering what to do next, I think it's the Most High's way of waking us up to letting us know that we've done what we can do here. We've given the West the best of us. We can now concentrate on taking our energy, our wealth, our good energy, our ideas and everything, and start focusing towards the motherland. And that's my only best advice to everybody, or any land mass on earth that treats melanated people well and that has an emergent economy that's not being controlled by the West. So these are things that we need to really, really and truly look at. Anyway, let's get straight into this one. It's La, Mr. Economic Ninja. I advise you try and subscribe to this guy. Very, very good. He's one of my white brothers from another mother. He gives good advice. And him and Samuel, I'm going to try and play you some Samuel Leeds before I go as well, because he's another guy, a really good brother. I really swear by these guys because they're liberating people with facts and knowledge. Well, anyway, let's go straight into this.
Things are getting tighter and tighter as time goes by. We're seeing all kinds of issues, banking issues in America, where people are trying to get out money and they cannot get money out. And this friend of mine does not trust banks at all, which I don't blame him. And before I start this story, I want to give you a little definition of a bank bail-in as opposed to a bank bailout, and we're going to talk about it. It says a bank bail-in helps a financial institution on the brink of failure by requiring the cancellation of debts owed to creditors and depositors. Bail-ins and bailouts are both resolution schemes used in distressed situations. Bailouts help to keep creditors from losses, while bail-ins mandate that creditors take losses. During the 2008 Great Financial Crisis, a new system was put in place through the Dodd-Frank Act, and bail-ins were pretty much adopted at that point. And what a bail-in is it makes the depositors of a bank a unsecured creditor of the bank. We've seen a couple of bail-ins in the past 10, 15 years in Greece and in Cyprus. And what they did is they shoved useless bank stock down the throats of depositors because when they needed money because they made bad bets, they turned around and they, let's say they owed $1 billion to creditors. They turned around, went to how many depositors there were, and they took a certain percentage of everybody's money equally out to equal that $1 billion to go pay off their debts. And what they did in return is they gave them bank stock, worthless bank stock. What do you think a bank stock is worth when the bank isn't solvent enough? It's got to literally steal money from the people that have made it the bank that they are, right? And this went very underreported. I mean, CNBC was covering a lot of it when Cyprus was going down, but it was one of those kind of stories where it's like, well, it's over there, it's Cyprus, it's not us, it's a small country. But what that was a petri dish. It was a science experiment, a social experiment, actually. And what it proved was that people sort of just took it. And there are more and more problems going on right now with the banking system. Now, let me start by saying that I believe that when this collapse happens in the current financial system, not every bank will do this, okay? I want to cover it with that. But there will be many banks that do. And getting to this story that happened, well, actually, let me hold off for a second because people are going to want to know, well, what do I do? What do I do? I'm afraid. What I believe it's very important is to diversify the type of banks you have and how many banks you have. It is important to have large national banks that can do international banking if that's what you need. I need that. I'm constantly having to wire money around the world for a couple of my businesses, and so I need to have those banks that have that open, right? Always cautious about how much money I have in any given account. So you need those kind of banks to do that kind of banking. Then you need large regional banks, right? State banks, things like that. But then you also need local small banks and credit unions. And it sounds crazy, but the way I've always lived, and it's worked for me, and I've been able to sleep well at night, is that I have multiple banks with money spread out. And then I also have money that's going to be sitting for a while. I have in specific, like let's say credit unions and small banks, in just a savings account that is not attached to a checking account, okay? They always try and talk you into that because there's little loopholes that make it to where FDIC does not cover you. So I always put it in just pure savings account for money that's not going to be moving around. It's in a savings account that's not tied to a checking account, okay? So I wanted to say that. Now, getting into the story, this gentleman that I know, I'm very close to, called me yesterday and said, you're never going to believe what happened. Now, this gentleman, on a regular basis, almost monthly or bi-monthly, goes down to the bank and pulls cash out because he doesn't trust his bank at all. He doesn't trust any banks. And I don't blame him. He's been doing research on the banking system for the last 10 years and has said, he's precious metals guy. He understands the value of real wealth, and fiat currency is not it for him. He's been expecting inflation just like I have. So he went to the bank the other day. Now, he's always getting harassed by the bank. They're always wanting to file a SARS report, and and he's just very clear with them. He says, look, I just don't trust the banks. That's my reason for taking the money out. And he said the other day was very interesting. It was different. And there's been times where they haven't had as much cash before. That's normal. But, and he'd order it, so that they'd make sure that they have it, when he comes. Because it was a pretty regular thing. He goes down the other day, and his branch, his normal branch in his town, says, look, you cannot take out more than $5,000 at a time now. And you can only do it twice a month. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never seen this before. And then they said, and not only that, we don't have the $5,000. We've only got $4,000. So he said, give me the $4,000. So he goes and gets the $4,000. He goes down a town over and goes to another branch. They come in and they go, okay, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to pull money out. And they said, okay, well, and he explains, I just went to this other branch. They said I couldn't pull more than 5 out. So what's the deal? Can I not come and pull out 5 here? And they go, well, you've already gotten 4. And he goes, yeah. And they go, no, we could do it. But we want to tell you this isn't like a normal thing. They were trying to work with him, but they're trying to clamp down. And he said, but what if I wanted more than that? And they said, look, even if we have the money, we won't give it to you. All we're going to do is give you your allotted $5,000.
Yeah, I think that's enough to hear. I mean, the basic gist of it is no freedom with your money. Same rule applies in this country. These are all the reasons why we must start thinking of alternative ways of banking, alternative ways of placing our hard-earned money, our hard-earned wealth. Very, very, very important. Now, I said I'll give you a quick one from this guy called Samuel Leeds. He's an inspirational speaker. He's a businessman. He helps a lot of people do businesses. If you want to know anything about doing property, buying housing to let and stuff like this, he does all of that. I like the brother a lot. He's a really good guy. He does it from the heart. He's not doing this. He's rich already. He's not even doing this from for the sake of wealth. I think he's doing this genuinely because he wants to help people get through this system. I was very surprised in one of his videos because I'm used to him always talking about the housing market and about tips for dealing with how to make money on the housing market. He's done one called the Economic Reset. And it's, how long is it? 6-7 minutes. It's going to be my last 7 minutes on this. This is what I'm going to wrap it up with. And this one, rather than it come from my mouth, I'd rather it come from his mouth because he's more versed in saying it. He's on the economic ladder. He can see what's up ahead. He can see what's down below. I really, really appreciate him. He didn't have to talk like this. And it's good. It's really important that we have truth tellers. Rich, poor, it don't matter. White, black, it don't matter. Just as long as we're doing the right thing. Right, so this guy is Samuel Leeds. I'm gonna call him a guy, this brother from another mother. He's talking about the economic reset, which is basically what I've been covering without me saying it, because it is about the reset. I didn't want to start off with talking about reset because people might not fully understand it, but the whole moral to this is a reset's happening, meaning that the whole of the system is going to get overhauled. The whole of the way we do financial transactions getting overhauled. The way that travel is getting dealt with is going to get overhauled. The way that countries deal with their citizens is going to get overhauled. So we do need to be prepared at all times for when these changes happen, so we know how to formulate and strategize and how to become, how can I put it, beneficial and live well throughout this. Because every test and tribulation that comes, there's a remedy to it. It's just planning. It's just coming together, forming a plan, forming a strategy, and implementing. And then we're out of that. So it's always happened. We've had Black Wall Street in the middle of a recession and a depression in America. If anybody knows about the Black Wall Street, Monday these guys came to steal that. But it don't matter. This time they can't steal what we put up. So I'll tell everyone, it's not all doom and gloom, but I am going to, go on about it because it needs to be ingrained into our head why we should be taking so much care of the hard labor that we work for in the banks. Do not give these institutions any more power than they've got. From the fact I'm putting my money in and you're telling me how much I can take out means me and you can't do business. You know, so this is just how it is. So we've got to start thinking like this. Let me go into this little bit. Samuel Leeds is talking about the overall oh, I got the wrong one. He's talking about the overall economic reset, which is going to come from him. I think he might go into the beginning of it. So let's go straight in.
Forum. I showed how Prince Charles was one of the founding members of the World Economic Forum, how their global elitist movement was that we would own nothing and be happy about it. Meanwhile, they own everything. And this video's had over 500,000 views on YouTube in the last 7 days. And I announced on Twitter that I would get consequences as a result of this. In the last week, a lot has happened. I've been hit personally, in my opinion, by members of the World Economic Forum, and I'm going to share, and you can make up your own mind as to what you think, because, you know, they're talking about it's a conspiracy. Even in the media now, they're saying, oh, it's a conspiracy, all these things. The Great Reset is a conspiracy. No, that's the name that they gave it. You know, and also conspiracy. What is a conspiracy? If someone's talking about me and they're coming up with theories, I don't call it a conspiracy theory. Do you know that they came up with the name conspiracy theory just to discredit theories? So look, do your research. So since last week, a lot's happened. Number one, the Queen has sadly passed away, and now Prince Charles is the king, which is quite scary as he's one of the founding members of the World Economic Forum. Liz Truss has become Prime Minister, and she's also a member of the World Economic Forum, and I'm being hit by the media who are members of the World Economic Forum. This is very interesting, isn't it? Let me tell you what happened. A lot of people are asking me, what do I think about Liz Truss and how's it going to affect property investors? My true opinion is, same agenda, just a different puppet. When people change their minds, their political stance, when their whole value system just suddenly can change overnight, I think that shows that they're probably just a puppet. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff Joe Biden was saying 10, 20 years ago, it's absolutely different to what he's saying today.
Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman. What's the game going on here?
Liz Truss was part of the Lib Dem movement and then suddenly just changes to Conservative. So I genuinely am not too sure what I think about her as a person, but I do think that she's in position of power, but she's probably being controlled by higher powers. Just a matter of days after publishing the video and after it received 500,000 views on YouTube, suddenly, bang, an article drops by The Guardian. And it was a very strange article. It says, property investor accused of shutting down criticism over £10,000 courses. I don't think I'm the one here that's shutting down any criticism at all. I mean, yes, it's true that I was trolled and harassed in 2019, 2020, and I had to take legal action. And as a result of that, there were people that...
Yeah, he's getting into some personal stuff, which I didn't really want to cover. So basically the gist of what he's saying is that there's the powers that be resetting everything. He's not happy with it. He knows what it implies, and is and the World Economic Forum. This is the bunch of people that's taken it upon themselves to decide how they're going to steal all our money. So we want to be on point, be on guard, be on our vigilance. I've given you I think I've done the full 2 hours value of this show. I'm gonna do another piece now. It's gonna be off scripted. It's something I really plan for. Next week I'll be more established in what I'm gonna do in the other 2 hours, as I'll have brother David with me, co-hosting and bringing in some much needed youthful energy and some spiritual grounding, because his nickname is Spirit Man. I'm going to play a few tracks, and then when I come back into the second half, I shall endeavor to try and fill out the show with as much content as possible. I'm not going to be playing as much videos as I've done on this one, because this was a particular subject. I couldn't do it justice by speaking on it alone and off of my own will. I had to draw for the professionals that knew about this, so I decided to give you this kind of a presentation. The next one, as I said, is going to be more freestyling. I'm going to talk about world issues. I'm going to just go through a couple of things that might be concerning to a few people. It's going to be probably also little markers for what I'm going to talk about in the future as well, because what I also like to do is cover something just lightly and just drop a seed inside you guys' minds. and then I'll open it out or elaborate more on it as we move along. I'm trying to stick to what's relevant. So yes, this has been an economical show, one about economics, one about fiat money, one about the global currency, the CBDC, central bank, digital currency. I still haven't even answered to you where is this central bank? What center is it? Where? And how do they how can they be responsible for the transactions of every country, because it's a central bank, meaning that every country's banking is ran from that country. So there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be probably people lost $1 million here, put it over there, and all this kind of stuff, and it's going to be horrible. I don't want to even want my money around. I ain't got much anyway, but I don't want it there. I don't want it in the banks. I feel very uncomfortable with it in the bank as it is. And to know when I hear this kind of stuff and do research into this kind of stuff, it's made it more, it's given me more reason why I know within my heart I've got to pick up my shoes and run to back home and start get my stuff into order, start getting to the real estate that I said I'm going to get into, and start getting to land, buying land and building houses. So yeah, my people, I'm going to play a couple of tracks. Let's have a look if I can give you something relevant, because the show's been a bit, how can I put it, more down key to do with money. When I come back with the other new tracks, I'm going to play a few excitable stuffs, lift up the vibe a little bit, change up the tempo a little bit. But right now, I'm going to play you something by, it's called, if I find it, Love and Happiness by Leroy Sibbles. Nice track. I ain't gonna have time to play all of the I'm just gonna play a piece of it now. Leroy Sibbles, Love and Happiness is still on point with what we're talking about, money. To everybody in a London city, globally, anywhere in the UK, white, black, Chinese, Indian, it don't really matter who you are, who you may be. Listen, just enjoy yourself, live up, live good, spread love, peace and harmony to each and everyone, and give each other good energy, good advice, good love, man. You know, we need each other in these times. I'm gonna liven up in a little bit. Just give me a couple of minutes to get myself together. We're playing Leroy Sibbles, Love and Happiness on Sunday. Radio 1 with Bless Radio 1 FM. We're just trying to bless up the airwaves with some good energy, good vibes as Bless Radio 1 does. Just tune in and listen up, yeah.
Love and happiness.
up the Breckalicious crew up in Ghana, Yasmin over in this country, and Layla back home in Ghana doing great things. Big them up. Twin sisters, when they bust off like twin shots. The way they're doing, they're making a lot of man look slack. God bless them two young ladies. We'll send big requests to all of them. Anybody independently doing their movements and doing things, BPG, that's David, Emmanuel back inside of Gambia, big him up. Big up to my brother inside of Ghana, Mr. Adams, singing and licking out against the corrupt government. We're going to be playing his tunes over the next few weeks. I was meant to go and get some more tunes to play up. My brother, Gusso, and his son, anyway, may God bless him. I'm going to be busting some of his tracks later on, because on the next part of the show is going to be more street-ish. It's going to be more unscripted. It's going to be stuff I'm just going to touch on, just topics that flitter around, just common stuff. Yeah, and different types of music. So yeah, just give me a couple of minutes. We're going to start lively up a little bit. Yeah, because I'm trying to format the show in a way that is something that everybody can get something out of. And I'm not used to doing stuff like this, but I'm having to learn. So what I'm gonna do now is play some nice tracks. Yeah, because right now I'm a Niger. I love Niger music. So I'm gonna share that love with you guys. You know, I'm gonna be playing some stuffs. Now there's this particular part of the show, because I'm on for the next piece now. We need a couple of hours. It's gonna be unscripted because I didn't make a proper plan for this. So we're just gonna talk about things around the world that's happening. I'm going to be playing, as I said, different types of tracks, a lot of Niger tracks, and we're going to enjoy ourselves here. I'm going to just try and change the tempo up a little bit. So, yeah, this one's called For Me, Wizkid, Burna Boy, bad boy track. Sunday afternoon, lift up your spirit, and for those of us that's athletic enough, lift up your foot. We're busting it right now for everybody, yeah? Listen.
Girl, I no come here to play. Oh, yeah, they give me romance. Girl, I no come here to look face. I come this place to rock. Yeah, spend love for me. Shine you for me. Break your back for me. Show me love. Say make you shine you for me. Bend low for me. Break your back for me. Show me love in you. Yeah, kiss mommy. 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 Try you for my ladies. Bully for my bad guys. Try you for my ladies. Bully for my bad guys. You never see this kind pass. From Lagos to Soweto, we never send anybody. We just do what we like. You get this girl when I meet for a corner. Tell me say she want do one corner. So I tell her me she give me her number. Sure you go follow me all these anger. Make I give you the number. With the ball, she la liga. Oh yeah, young girl, come with your sister. I want for one back. I want for one back. Oh, I want for one back. With the ball like Prado. Pull up in a Prado. Oh yeah, dance on daddy. Make us spray you the money. We are shaku for daddy. Make us spray you the money. Bend low for me. Shine you for me. Break your back for me. Show me the love. Say make you shine you for me. Bend low for me. Break your back for me. Show me love in you. Yeah, kiss mommy. 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 They be feeling the jam with the party tonight for the place. All of them girls are feeling the jam till they scream my name. Oh my niggas, they ask me what's up and you know what's to do.
Big up my good neighbor Bev and the crew. Big them up in every aspect. Bev King and the whole foundation. God bless Unu. God bless. All my family, my children, all my cousins, my brothers, my sisters. Let God bless Unu today on a Sunday. Peace, love, harmony. Lift up your foot. Shake up your hips, man. Be happy for mobility. Enjoy the life God give. Quick rejacker this again. This is a bad tune, man. This is what they call Ghanaian Niger music. Not Ghanaian, Niger music. This is Niger. This is Wizkid. And the brother called let me forget my guy's name there. Burner Boy.
Show me love. Say make you shy for me. Bend low for me. Break your back for me. Show me love in you. Oh yeah, kiss mommy. 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 Go down. Oh yeah, kiss mommy. Oh yeah, kiss mommy. Go down. Oh yeah, kiss mommy. Go down. Shy for my ladies. Bully for my bad guys. Shy for my ladies. Bully for my bad guys. You never see this kind of passing. From Lagos to Soweto, we know the sound anybody. We just do what we like.
You get this girl when I meet for a corner. Tell me say she want do one corner. So I tell her she give me her number. Sure you go follow me, go this anger. Make I give you the number. With the ball, she la liga. Oh yeah, young girl, come with your sister. I want for one leg back. I want for one leg back. Oh, I want for one leg back. With the ball like Prado. Pull up in a Prado. Oh yeah, dance so daddy. Make us spray you the money. We are shaku for daddy. Make us spray you the money.
Bend low for me. Shine you for me. Break your back for me. Show me the love. Say make you shine you for me. Bend low for me. Break your back.
Spells.
You shouldn't fuck with. Chillin' with the boys, you do double. What? Tell me how you don't fuck with. If it ain't got all, you didn't fuck with. Listen, I'm the boy, you shouldn't fuck with. Chillin' with the boys, you do double. What the hell am I supposed to do done? Tell me more, I'm going to do good. Sure you know this time. Fool me like a boss. Pull your body, baby. Everybody like baby. I feel me, baby. I'm see baby, I'm look at
Ask Maya about Tenny. Right, we're gonna hit you with music now. Now we're gonna go into this. There's some rhythms that we don't usually play, but I'm gonna bust just to change the tempo, liven up this thing a little. Sorry, I'm really getting my levels wrong. Yeah, it's just a little bit different. This is the next part of the show. From next week, I'll be doing the 224 426. It'll be 2 different shows. I'm going to try and cram it in because I didn't put a heading for this one. So this is just going to be straight off the cuff, unscripted, straight off the top of the head. I'll play different types of musics, see what I'm permitted to play. But I want to change the flavor, the tempo, direction. We're cultural, we're melanated, so we're not put into one little pigeonhole. We play different things. And as again, I'm representing Bless Radio 1 FM and making sure I stay within the confines of what I'm allowed to do. And big up this radio station. Culture, knowledge, wisdom, overstanding, understanding. Something for the people, something for the public, something for the world, of any tribe, any color. We welcome everybody and anybody. Come true, listen, and hopefully you get something from us. I believe you will, because if it's not me, there's a guy called Ras Nimlaf in his programs, very good. There's some beautiful cultural things going on here. We need to tune into Radio Bless FM or Radio 1 Bless FM. I keep getting it wrong. Bless Radio 1 FM, the best FM. All right? So listen up this. Just rhythm we're going to play now. This hasn't got no particular... Businesswomen to step up. We'll advertise you on this platform. When I do the piece about businesses and where to put our money in terms of banking systems, we're going to look at different businesses as well. We need to find out from all our community what they're doing. We need to support our black businesses, and that's it. Yeah. And for all those that's into the music biz, please don't shy away from me. Hopefully I've got a couple of people that's in the biz. I'm hoping to speak to them soon. Anybody that's got tapes, got music to put out, don't feel no way. Let me know. I'm more than happy to play them on here. Please, God, all my people that's trying to do something good in their life, don't feel scared. Give us a call, give us a shout. We want to link up with anybody and everybody that's doing what's right and what's good. Freestylers, everybody, come in. Don't be scared. 1 FM. I clear my flow, get rid of the phlegm. I'm back in again. Bless Radio 1 FM. Bless Radio 1 FM. Bless Radio 1 FM for my people. We're gonna kill the evil. I'm gonna spit a freestyle from the mind. With my mind, I like to combine with the rhythm and give my people a little bit of healing. That's the way we're doing and putting a bit of meaning. Yeah, we're living in times that's incredulous. Yeah, sometimes I get a bit scared, horrendous. But you know what? It's gonna be alright. As long as we get together and start unite and start to find whether it's black or white, it don't matter. My friends, you know we can batter the competition that's trying to put us in a place we're not used to being in. Listen, I'm not much of a freestyler, so I'm gonna tell you I'm more of a meanwhiler. But I'm gonna tell you for all my people, stand up together, we'll all be equal. As long as we do what's right in God's sight and fight, you know what, to unite and bring up peace on this land, my people. Huh. Yeah, this is for all those that like freestyle. Come on and do your thing, you can do better than this. So right now I'm just giving you a little taste. We're gonna make a platform for anybody to come in and do what they want to do. We're gonna make it available for people to come in and express themselves. We wanna hear from people, man. It's not gonna be just my voice, because it's about people, reaction, the youth. You understand me? And the youth to represent themselves properly, not talk about this grinding and all that stuff. I'm just messing about on this rhythm here, you know what I mean? So I ain't like you guys that are dedicated to the craft and things. I will dabble and dibble, and I don't care. You understand? Because with me, I'm not looking no contract, and I'm just doing things for fun. I want my people to feel free. You know what I mean? So enjoy yourselves. Be who you gotta be. Do the right thing. We're on radio. Bless Radio 1 FM. Yeah. Phone number's been put up, so anybody wanting to ring in, got anything they want to discuss, anything they want to share with me, you're more than welcome. Even though it's live, it doesn't mean you can't ring in. You can ring in, especially concerning the bit about the cashless society and stuff like that, please. Okay, so don't be scared. I'm trying to do things by example, don't be feared. Tell them about Radio 1. Tell them about Radio 1. Let's Radio 1 FM with the culture. You best to understand I'm swooping on these vultures. You best to understand how I'm gonna do. Freestyle flows, I'm bringing it brand new. They call me Abz. I sit inside of this place like a lab. I'll tell you again without the pen and a pad. I spit the freestyle originals. Lots you know. If for me it's just habitual. And it's a nickname me Mr. Ritual. Cause I perform. I'm different from the norm. And when I'm ready, I'm coming in with the storm. I'm coming in like the one they call Mr. Swarm. I come in hard. I'm gonna tell you with the wrath of the God, that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what, the most high. I tell you again, I will never ever lie. I and I, for those who worship Rastafari, I don't give a damn, it's this do or die. When I spit the freestyle, you know they ask me why. I tell my people just to open up the brain. Tell you again, we all feeling the pain, the strain. Yes, some people complain, but me, I try my best to refrain and get up and fight against this the best I can. That's the reason why the freestyle's the best I can. Straight from the verb to the doing this again and again. And when you're gonna mark me, please mark me 10 out of 10. I spitting out the phlegm and getting rid of this again, like exorcism of the brain. I hope you enjoy, my people. Right now we're gonna get into some subjects, and we're gonna get into doing something. So yeah, it's unscripted, as I said. That's why I've done this freestyle stuff, just to mess about. Let you know, this is all unscripted. I didn't plan properly. Next week will be a better plan, but we're gonna go into some stuff. So yeah, let's go. Yeah. Now, unscripted. This is like off the head. Round the world now, we can see like there's a lot of things happening. Things are changing very fast. You see everything happening in all the countries. Canada's having upheaval. They've got the citizens, they've got no freedom. In Australia, if you know, even when the truck drivers, when they had the problems with the truck drivers, a lot of these guys' bank accounts were frozen. which goes in line with what we're just talking about, the cashless thing. The power that the banks have. There's a lot of stuff going on around the planet. So I'm gonna just pick on bits and pieces, yeah, because I haven't really, as I said, given this much preparation. So one of the things I've noticed, like, you know, I noticed a lot of rasses, like, you know, because you see the thing about, because the ras thing, yeah, and I'm not gonna go deep into it, but I've noticed a lot of rasses have kind of calmed off of the divinity of Selassie, and they've gone into talking about like just the spiritual aspect of how they see Selassie, as opposed to calling him God in the flesh. So this has been interesting because it's something I want to talk about, but not today in the depth. It's just I'm just skipping through it because I've noticed it online. There's been some awakening. I was watching a conversation between two races. I think one of them wasn't a ras. One was a ras, and the other one was a Hindu, but he had locks on, and you know it was very interesting. And they were talking about Selassie as a man, and Selassie's belief system as well, and it was very interesting, very, very interesting. So I'm going to be going into all of that because, you know, we're a community, and, you know, it's good to be conversant with each other and what we know or what we believe in or what we stand for. So it'll be good to share and read from the same page. I just thought I'd bring that little bit up because it's something I do endeavor to go into. I want to go into Selassie because I've heard some bad things about him. I've heard some good things about him. So I want to do something that, you know, represents the both sides, and just for people to see, you know, we don't know enough of our culture, you know. Well, I don't know enough, so I just want to share with you what I'm learning about the culture. Yeah, so we know around the world, as I was saying, like, you know, things are changing, you know. I haven't been updated about what's happening with the with Chris Carver, who they killed, who the feds killed. I know it's going to be the same old rigmarole, the same old trumping up reasons, the same old everything. We need to sort out how we're going to form a legal team that's going to prosecute these police officers for murder, for straight up murder. And it almost, you know, when I look on it, it almost looks like an execution. You know, for somebody to bash into somebody's car, right? Just corner them off, bash into the car. So you've already stopped the car. And then you still shoot them on top of that? Hey, you know? So we got to look at all of these things. You know, because what happens today to one will definitely happen to another. We got to find out what it is. You know, I mean, why all of these things? You know, why did this happen? You know, because this long list, you know, it's just going to get longer if we leave it any longer. So yeah, and that's just another quick thing I thought that was on my brain. I thought I'd go through. You know, in America, I've been disturbed by a few things that my Yankee black brothers and sisters are chatting about. And, you know, they got this thing called FBAs. Because I think I mentioned it on the show, but I was saying it wrong. FBAs, full-blooded Americans, yeah? So now, full-blooded Americans, like, you know, is basically a new terminology for the melanated men and women in America that classify themselves as indigenous Americans. It's basically another way of saying that. And the way they've tackled it is basically saying there's almost like a feudal system where, like, you know, we're full-blooded Americans. We're born of the land. I don't know how they work it out, but they've worked it out like that. And then there's these other derivatives of Afro-Americans. And it's caused another division because these FBAs, full-blooded Americans, don't see them any form of connection to Africa and don't see themselves as Africans. And it's really disturbing to me because even like some of the brothers who I respect, like Sarasut and Seti, he's the general when it comes to knowledge, but there's some things, you know, that well, in fact, no, because Sarasut said he has agreed. He's pro-African. Sorry, I'm getting him wrong. There's some of the brothers, Asir Dukateers, who I like. All of these guys that are in the Moorish, a lot of them in the Moorish religion, the Moorish faith, which I'm belonging to that same kind of faith. They're saying some stuff that I don't agree with, and all of this anti-African rhetoric is foolish because even for some Moors to say this, right, they got to realize how foolish it sounds, because when you talk about this, then you have to ask yourself, if you are so knowledgeable and you know these things and this is what you believe is true, you have to explain the people that founded the Mayan and the Aztec empires, you know. You need to talk about the Olmecs. And the Olmecs Yes, Sarah Sutton said he's done on YouTube. You can actually get stuff about the Olmecs. I think I might play a quick excerpt from it, in fact, in a minute. But the Olmecs, they built the whole empire of the Mayans and the Aztecs. But if you see how they looked, you know, their phenotype, which is the physical look, they look like what you would call as a standard African, what we would call a stereotypical African, broad nose, big nose, thick lips. You know what I mean? Big face, big featured face. This is not like a guess, because they left all these massive heads, and there's all away. There's, you know, you can find them all throughout the Americas, South Americas. So we've got these, and they obviously would have come from, I believe, would have come from Africa, some part of Africa, and went over there and decided to bring their standards for civilization and civilize the people over there. You know, I mean, we've got a lot going on with Africa that people underestimate and don't trace back to. And I'm going to go into this as time moves along, because I found quite a few bits and pieces that ties Africa in, and tribes from Africa into parts of America with certain traditions and things that they do. So I'll be going into that in the future, because a lot of my Moorish brothers and sisters are disappointing me with this kind of like not seeing the link between Africa and America, and also forgetting that at one stage the whole land was all stuck together, so it wasn't a hard thing to travel from one end of a piece of land to another and crossing over. So these things needs to be expounded on, and we'll talk about this as we move along, because, you know, the unity of our people, as much as we want it to be built together, there's a lot of us that seem to be bent on causing more disunity by bringing in things that we don't need to bring. I don't think we needed to have this full-blooded American. It doesn't make no sense. You understand me? You know, because for you to do that, you have to have there's some people, the Geechee clan and the people in the Gullah Geechee clan in America, a lot of them can do that because they can trace their lineage literally right back up to their ancestors, to their ancestors of about 300 years, 400 years. They can go back that far. Yeah, cool. But not everybody can make these claims, and I don't think even the Geechee clan is classing themselves as FBA. It's just putting another hole in a wound. You know, it's not curing nothing. You know, we need to come off of that stuff. We need to just realize we're one blood. You know, in the Quran says we come from one clot of blood, and that's everything. It don't matter if we made Europeans in laboratories or whatever. It's one clot of blood. You understand me? That make everything, and He is the judge of all things. So we've got to realize that, you know, and Goddess, and we've got to realize that we on this earth, we're just given the privilege of seeing the creation and being part of a creative process, you know, and that's what we should look at life like this, because He could have done anything with us. We could have been anything, but He's chosen to put us in a form that is intelligent and that can converse and that can enjoy. So we're lucky to be part of the creation process, so we should do something with that luck, and instead of making things worse, make things better. The whole point of the whole universe being created was for it to know itself, for it to be associated with itself, and for it to work together with itself. We're not doing that, you know, and we're the only species on this, as far as I know, on this plane that kill animals, wipe out, and especially the Europeans, wipe out animals to extinction, have low regard for human life, has put material objects that has no life and no animation to it as something above people. We enjoy material things more than spiritual things. This is the kind of world we've built for ourselves, and it's getting worse because now they're talking about virtual reality, trying to hook the kids up on virtual reality, and trying to get the kids interested in stuff. The children, I shouldn't say kids, sorry, not baby goats. The children, getting our children involved in a virtual world. Everything is virtual. That's why we can't be living like that and have, you know, we've got to keep the art of dialogue up, the art of interaction up, the art of discussion and arguments up. We've got to, you know, be tactile. Yes, we still got to make sure we touch each other and do stuff to make sure we remember we're human. You know, we feel, you know what I mean? We're empathic. You know, we're creatures of love. You know, we have love inside of ourselves. We was built from love, you know, and the creator that built us and designed us and put us on this planet did first to unify and to be like him, you know, and like her. So we are emulating to be godlike, you know. A lot of us as Moors, we will say, oh, we're gods and this, that, and the other, and theoretically, we're meant to be. There's those that can actually, you know, the older Moors that are holding up the faith and holding up the knowledge can actually class themselves as that, but a lot of us can't. And there's a lot of people, you know, we got to address ourselves and see what we're lacking in, you know, why we're not godlike, why we're not aspiring to our full godliness, and why we're not doing the godly things that we know that we're capable of, you know. So yeah, I'm just breezing through unscripted, as I said, for this part of the show. It's more something for introspection because, as I said, the world's changing very rapidly, and you got to find where do you stand in all of this. The war with Russia, for example. You know, now Mr. Putin has said that he'll actually send out missiles to this country, to America, because he didn't say this country. I should say London. You know, that made me sit up on my seat when I heard that one. We've got to start getting real with this, because I'm going to go into that nuclear holocaust bit and find out, you know, are we prepared? Are we like our American counterparts that are what they call themselves preppers? Yeah, I mean, my cousin Jazzy talked about that on when he was on one of the shows a few weeks ago from St. Lucia, and it's important to be a prepper, and to be a prepper by nature, meaning that you got your little backpack on, you got your stuff ready for an eventuality that could take place. So it could be just simple prepping, like you could, you know, people do it on a natural when they go to work, like they put their sandwiches in a bag, drinks or whatever, and that's it. But I'm talking about prepping for your life, prepping for should there be a nuclear fallout, what are we gonna do? You know, because I know behind closed doors they're doing military drills and stuff like that for certain people to understand what they got to do. But we, as the major public, always left last to find out what happens. I mean, do you want to wake up one morning and find out half of the central London's blown off? You know, we've got to be in preparation, and it is doom and gloomish, but it's reality. So we got to be thinking, what's going to happen? What plan have you made? You know, what plan? What's your evacuation plan? You know, we not all of us are rich enough to have bunkers and stuff like that. You know, so you know it's important to have all of these things on your radar. We've got to be prepared for a lot of things because the system is about to change, and my theory is because I think they know that the majority of melanated people who they've been making money off, unconsciously, and because a lot of us didn't know the system and wasn't aware of what these guys was doing, now we've woken up. The whole system has been shaken, and remember, we've been like the lifeblood of the system. So my theory is that now we've woken up, the system is in disarray, and for us to actually come up fully on top, we have to detach ourselves from the system. We have to stop buying into a system that disrespects us and doesn't value us, and never has and never will. And even amongst my conspiracy people that I'm in contact with, even within them there's a lot of racism, because even their conspiracy stuff is all to do with white people. All of a sudden, these white guys mysteriously come out of nowhere, and they're part of the conspiracy, part of the mystical things. That's, you know, and that's also all nonsense. It's just, you know, it's a bag of nonsense. You know, that's one of my gripes I got as well. You know, because I find that when I look into these conspiracy theories, all of these actors in it are all white, and I'm saying to myself, but wait a minute, in all of these ancient artifacts that's been dug up, why we are not seeing enough of our artifacts? Why is it throughout the Renaissance, when the Moors was in power, nobody showed you all the Moorish sculptures and architecture? You know? Yeah, they've been doing a good job in hiding our architecture and hiding our carvings, which I know are all around the world, or are placed all around the world. So, you know, that's one of my things with all of these. Yeah, shout out to my own conspiracy people, dodge the hijack in America. When you get your knowledge and you only get your knowledge, please You know, check it out, because what I'm seeing is that there's a fair amount of I would almost say like racist propaganda put into it, and it's not healthy, because anything that obfuscates the truth is just like making you hide away from the inevitable, which is the penultimate truth. And when that penultimate truth surfaces, all of that stuff you was all believing has to vanish. So we got to be kind of, you know, look at things and be able to prove it scientifically and be truthful about it. You know, don't take everything people send you as gospel. Do your research. Images in particular, because we've got AI now producing images at an astounding rate and putting them on the internet, and these AI or AL images have been crafted for a reason. So it's actually, my philosophy is that I think to disrupt the fact that the history of the melanated people, which is literally the globe history, they're trying to wipe it off the map and whitewash it. They're whitewashing all the conspiracy theories. They've already whitewashed the facts of the globe, of all our rulers. I've gone into the history of our rulership in England, in the UK, which is very important, and I'm going to continue with that. I'll be going into the aspects of European history and the European black monarchy, and letting you see them in their full glory and the names. It's important at this point for you to take notes of these things, because, as I said before, your surname could be your link to your royal lineage, because more than likely you would have been related to one member of the Stuart household or one member of the original royal family of England. So it's good for you to understand this, because there's a lot of names you don't understand, like Douglas, and names like Dougal and stuff like that. These are all original Moorish names with something meaning like black involved inside of the meaning. I haven't got the exact meaning, but you can do that research. But you'll find it will mean something like melanated or dark skinned or something like this. So yeah, there's a lot of names that was given, and you know, I used to grow up thinking, yeah man, I got slave master's name, and you know, by the time I didn't realize, now knowing that the Moors named things, the Moors named people. The word slave, came from the Moors, because the Moors was enslaved in Europe. Lots of your white Europeans were slaves. That's why you got Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, yeah, all the Slavic nations. You know what I mean? They were like basically Moorish people. They were people, how can I put it, captured by the Moors, and civilized by the Moors, and they was given work by the Moors. But the Moors were not brutal, wicked people. They were humane. They taught them how to read, how to write. They civilized them, and actually incorporated them and included them in society, which is very important, you know. And I think part of the downfall when I think about it, you know. So yeah, the Moors, you know, I'm going to go into the Moorish aspect of things. That will be a whole show, because that's what I deal with, and that's what I've got my peoples I want to bring in onto that as well. Because with the Moorish situation, why I'm so into it is because it offers a way out through understanding how to navigate ourselves through this crooked paperwork that's in front of us. And you know, because the Moors are the custodians of the original Egyptians and actually understand what tradition is and what keeping paperwork is and what keeping promises is and keeping covenants is, they've got a ton of data that can actually free us from bondage and slavery. Now, especially when it comes to the birth certificate and things like this, which we will be talking about as we move along. So yeah, that's the Moorish aspect, because that's what's on my mind as well. We're going to be talking about this a lot. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to try and convert everybody to Al-Islam, but I will be making a case of Islam not being the last religion, as people are trying to claim, erroneously claiming. I have full facts to prove it was the first religion. And a lot of people are not going to be happy about it, but that's up to them. I've got facts. And we can even have debates set up for this, because I'm all up for debates. I'm up for debates, not to down anybody or fight anybody, but just have intellectual debates and discourse, because I've got a lot of paperwork to go through to show people how this has come to be and how they've hidden the truth from everybody to make them believe and hate this kind of religion and make it be, and taint it and say it's Arab man's religion and this, that and the third, and Africans are not in, you know, it's not natural for an African, you know, it's nonsense. Because I know African people are Hindus, I used to say a lot of nonsense about that, and it's changed me because all religions, all spiritual religions, all types of religions are African. And Islam is just a term. Islam just means way of life. And the African way of life has always been inclusive. It's always been like, what do you believe in? That? Okay, cool. I believe in that. But we still get along. It's always been like that. And so has the Moorish Empire, which is, again, an African empire. So these things I'm going to go into and talk about the unity of all religions and faiths within the Moorish paradigm, which is very, very important, because a lot of people do not understand or even know that Hebrews, which we take as Jews, was writing in some mysterious Jewish language. Wasn't. They was writing in Arabic, and I can prove this. And they was speaking Arabic, which throws a lot of questions about Abraham of the Bible and stuff like this. We're going to go into all of this as we move along. I'm just throwing bits out there to let my people know it's unscripted from the top of the head. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. I don't want my people dozing off and thinking, this guy's got nothing to offer. I've got a lot to give you guys, but I'm trying to find a right way of doing it. And I'm not trying to enforce my opinion, though you will say, because he said about the Moorish thing, he's showing his opinion. But I'm also, if I see a deal in a shop and I know the deal's good for you, I'm going to tell you there's a deal down the road. I'm going to tell you, and I think there's a good deal with this Moorish. This is a good deal. It ain't a bad deal. I've been on it. I've been Sunni for a good few years, and when I understood what this Sunnah thing was, I realized, and when I travel around the world, especially to Egypt, I realized, these Sunni Muslims do not respect melanated people. So there's a reason why. And ever since I started understanding about the Moorish movement, then I understood why this situation happened, and understood the science behind all of this. So we're going to be looking into all of this, because that's where the knowledge is at. It's with the Moors, and I'm not holding no things back on that. I challenge anybody, step up, prove your point. They've got an identity, they've got a way forward, they've got paperwork, they've got sovereignty, and they've got constitution. That's what you call a civilization right there. That's the basis for a civilization. So yeah, we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about building communities, and we're probably going to start by even building one ourselves, probably right in front of you guys, to show you how to build communities, so that we can start building communities and getting linked together. We need to be doing that, and this is a very important thing for the times coming up ahead, because safety in numbers. And when I'm talking communities, I'm talking starting off from where you're living, to start solidifying some communities like that, and then extending it to further out, and eventually to the countryside, so that we can have a melanated community that's inclusive of everybody else, but it is run by the melanated community themselves, because we need to have our empowerment back, we need to have our stage back, and we need to be able to show the world how we treat people, which they already know. But when they see what we do under our control, the beauty, the inclusiveness, the love, and the way we do things, the world will realize it is better that it's under our rule again. You understand me? So this is all the stuff I'll be coming with, because you see, we don't have enough faith in ourselves. We don't have enough pride in ourselves. We don't have enough, and we've got to. Individually, there's a lot of individuals doing great things. It's time for us to just join together. So we're going to be talking about communities, how to build upon them, how to get them to get together. We talk about businesses. There's a young lady called Khadija Ward who I'll be hoping to have on the show. I haven't told her yet about this. I haven't spoke to her for a good while. I've been out of contact, but I'll be calling her. She's the editor of. She's made a book called Black Sterling. She's an entrepreneur of a very, very powerful form. She's got businesses. She probably won't agree with me with the crypto stuff, because I know she's made a packet from that. But she's on point. She's got books. What's that book I've got? Black Boy. I'll rewind and get that book for you. The book's important as well. It's a really good book. It's got positive affirmations for young black boys coming up. So I'll be talking to people like movers and shakers, influencers. I'll be having some entrepreneurs next to me to discuss what they do. I'll be talking about even what I do, because I do branding, and I can help people brand, take a conception, or even before you even conceive it, help you to conceive it, help you to brand it, and help you to label it up, and give it an identity, give it some paperwork, and have it in circulation. And I actually have a few people in the background that can help me with the actual advertisements and the promotions. So yeah, these are the things we're going to go into when we get onto the business side of things. There's going to be lots in the horizon because, you know, I'm really, really thankful for being on Blessed Radio 1 to do this. I've always wanted to do this. I was on Galaxy for a very short stint, and I was literally shoved off by one guy there who knows his name, and it was probably because I was coming in with too much energy at that time, because it was at the time of the Grenfell situation. But I've changed a bit now. I'm trying my best to be a bit more lower key and not get too excited and not let these things overwhelm me. But I am human and I feel it. Every day I get up, I feel it. And I feel it for my people. I feel it because I want to see us on the same page. I want to see us all feeling confident, feeling that we don't have to bow, shake, or make excuses to these people. Yeah, we don't owe them nothing. They owe us. If anything should be making excuses, is them. You understand me? And when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this to all my white brothers and sisters that are out there thinking, oh my God, he's racist. No. I'm saying it to the people and the predecessors and probably even members of your family that think that they're better than us and think that this system is their system. It's not. You know what I mean? They need to know the truth. You understand me? And that's why I'm going to be going through this thing about royalty of our global essence of what we had on this planet, and that was stolen from us. Our identity has been stolen, and we got to stand up and make that be known. Our Judaism's been stolen. Our Islam has been stolen. Our Christianity has been, every aspect we've got has been stolen. So the rendition that's been given of it is not the right rendition. So when these people are giving that rendition you see out there, you're going to see that it's not done in the way that we do. Yeah. And that's something we need to really take claim of. And when I say take claim of it, meaning that we embody it and that we show by example how gracious God is inside of us, you know, and that's how we've got to do this, you know. We've got to show who we are and what we stand for. You know, the Quran is a book I'd advise everyone to have a little prep at and have a look, because it talks about religious inclusiveness and society inclusiveness. It talks about everything being included because that was the design of the God. You know, he said he made every religion so mankind may get to know him and love him. You see? So we can't fight that. And we can't fight anybody down that's got any different religious beliefs to us. Yeah, even down to somebody being a Satanist, you leave them to it. Yeah, it's a free will. We're living on earth off of free will. And the whole point of being free people is you can exercise free will, because with that free will and that freedom of choice, there comes repercussions, or there comes blessings, and there comes all kinds of things. So, no one's to say anything. We just have to try and encourage each other towards the best way as possible. And that one's been hard for me to say, because I came on this earth thinking, wow, I'm going to go around the world and get everyone hooked onto Islam. And now I see the grace of Islam. That's not the way forward. The way forward is that you get people to understand what you see and share their vision of what they see. And then hopefully we can just make a big vision that we all can see through at the same time. Because the God I serve is good. He loves everybody. There's no against anybody. And anybody that's alive, he has a love for. It's just that what happens with us as humans, we're going to learn by our mistakes. And we have to learn by our mistakes, and that's what's going to happen, I used to agonize over people's mistakes and say, yeah, man, and try and push my children to do this or this, that, and the third. You can't do that. All you can do is advise and pray and do the two, and then, things will work out good. We've got to be more, how can I put it, understanding, not tolerant, because tolerant means that you're just like taking it without really, you could be tolerant but not want to be tolerant. You understand me? But, it's just to be like, how can I put it, understanding and overstanding, compassionate and empathic. Words that I find hard to say sometimes, but this is what's needed from all of us, because we need to understand why we're here. What's our role? What do we have to do? Everybody has a role. Everybody has something the Most High's got planned for them. So people have to realize now, find out what your role is. Yeah, it won't come overnight, but it starts off by doing the things you like. and doing a list of all the things you don't like, you know. So on that note, I'm gonna be playing a couple of tracks from Anyway the God, because as I say, we promoting anybody that's doing how can I put it, that's doing the independent thing, and it's really good. It's a situation that I'm happy. I'm happy when I see people do their thing, you know. I'm really, really happy, you know. 1 minute. So that's the reason why we big everybody up. I'm trying to open up this phone because I've seen a few messages here, and I just wanted to see if it's pertaining to us. Okay. No, it's not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so this is it. We're going to be playing some tracks. I would encourage anybody that's independently making music. You heard my abysmal freestyling. You can do better than that. Send in your stuff. I'll promote it. I'll play it. I'll big it up. I'll do whatever, you know. I mean, I'm going to do all of this now until I've really got a platform properly set up to advertise you guys adequately. There'll be a podcast coming soon. There's going to be lots of activities to get people, you know, incentivized to being independent. You've got a business, you could be making creams, you could be making stuff for children's hair, you could be doing anything. But anything you're doing that's independent, made with your own hands, we're willing to big up and promote. You know, and as I said, when I do the business show, the piece about business and finance, that's the time we're really gonna really get into it and promote to the best of our ability. Because I know a few people doing stuff, and I want to big everybody up. So yes, we're gonna be playing. I played the track by Anyway the God last week, right? And I'm gonna play it again because it was so deep that I had to sit back and say, wow, I saw Ason's moving. You know what I mean? He's a very deep young lad. You know what I mean? So I'm going to play. Okay. In fact, what I'll do, Ram, I'll play this one called I Got a Divorce first, and then I'll play let the LP, a couple of these tracks play, and then I'll jump back in a second. So I'm going to play probably about 3 of his tracks. So I'll start off with this one, I Got a Divorce, featuring what's this guy? Mala. Wait, I don't want to mutilate this guy's thing. Moralistic. Yeah, I Got a Divorce featuring Moralistic. Anyway the God, aka Son, you're on point, man. So we're gonna just drop this for the people.
I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got Dan Solo. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. Introduced to life as a business. The eye makes you wishless. All eyes were a witness. The genesis of sickness. Born into sin, from whence begin I deliver. Alcohol, the spirit to quell the pain and deliver. Finding who did this, why we have to live this. Learn all is ordained, so enduring for the fitness. Brandying my milk, walked the earth as a beginner. My start was sedated, elation, captive was hindered until I caught what the gist is. Through the bush I was green amongst the snake that did slither in the form of Lucinda, who got loose and left cinders. Miss Popular in favor, so she passed around just to get dropped on the ground. Playing hot rock, master the burn, palm to discern. I can see now, eye surgery, witness success, behold the builder. God told me stick with him, the rest will welter away. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. This world, I got a divorce. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of
Big up my brethren Daily, just become a daddy again the other day, a couple of days ago. Big up to him, his beautiful son, to big up to his beautiful daughters. This is one brother, I'm hoping to have him on the show. He does the promotion of my street colonels that promoting their music, like Anyway the God and these guys. He's a promoter and he can show you how to hustle. He can help you all. But right now he's on his daddy grind. Big up Daddy Daily. Congratulations to him and his wife. We have to big them up every time.
Man in front of me, telling me to wait. Run that, move your hand, let me pass. Wait, hit them like the truth, hit me, blow.
Anyway, Dan Solo. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. Introduced to life as a business. The eye makes you wish this. All eyes were a witness. The genesis of sickness. Born into sin, from whence begin I deliver. Alcohol, the spirit to quell the pain and deliver. Finding who did this. Why we have to live this. Learn all is ordained, so enduring for the fitness. Brandying my milk, walked the earth as a beginner. My start was sedated, elation captive was hindered until I caught what the gist is. Through the bush I was green amongst the snake that did slither in the form of Lucinda, who got loose and left cinders. It's popular in favor, so she passed around just to get dropped on the ground. Playing hot rock, master the burn, palm to discern. I can see now, eye surgery, witness success, behold the builder. God told me stick with him, the rest will welter away. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. This world, I got a divorce. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce.
She was a top model that lived this life, it's what she's accustomed to. Running through the course and it's the assets that they're running through. So disconnected from my woman who I made a vow to. Leave the outside world in exchange for the inside scoop. What's going on with the world these days? Crazy relating many different ways. Robbing Peter to pay Paul when Peter gets paid. Look at the cycle that won't break. Every opportunity I take seems to have a man in front of me telling me to wait. Run that, move your hand, let me pass. Wait, hit them like the truth, hit me, blow their mind away. Can't call me arrogant when arrogant is how I stay. Said I love Mother Nature, but we got a divorce. It's so mad that it can't be handled up in the courts. I love Mother Nature, hope she loves me, of course.
To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost. I reallocate these wicked ways I abhor. I choose God as my force, man. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. I got a divorce. To remain in this detestable course, in the wages of sin, death will be the cost.
Yeah, that was Anyway the God. I'm gonna play one by his little brother Veli Sweets. I completely forgot about brother Veli Sweets. I'm gonna bust out one Veli Sweets on you. This is a youth that is doing his thing. This is Anyway the God's brother, younger brother. He does different, the same kind of form.
I'm still learning, known to get that sterling. Going to Amsterdam tomorrow, then I'm flying out to Berlin. They say, Veli, how you do it, man? I tell them I'm determined, had to channel my pain, anger, and my hurting. Tried to leave me, didn't think I forget, it was me they deserted. Look what happened now, it looks like I reversed it. These men are all actors, looks like they're rehearsing. He say, she say, forever hear that bird sing. Stay mobbing on the beat, I'm the same in real person. I'm the top boy, blood, this is my version. Put the chips in the clips, cause I ain't no virgin. These men are all washed up, I call them detergents. You ain't worth my wording. I'm all about the money and that's all I'm deserving. Sweets is all good, Veli's evil still lurking. I'm trying to clear my mind, but these sins got me cursing. Hold up, let me call up Simon. He says close curtains, went quiet for a bit. Must have thought I weren't working. Stay low from the whoops, I ain't trying to have a burden. Don't like me, listen 3 times I have you turning. I've came a long way, support the hustle, go and purchase. Look so clean, wouldn't even know I'm dirty. Flooding in that drip and I go drink you cause I'm thirsty. Oh so ill cause I've been doing this from early. Harming yourself if you ever try and hurt me. I know Velly deals with things very sternly. Still living with your mum, I found my path very early. Stepped out and you know the swag's on furry. Your girl says why you come fast like 30. Bad boy, you're a big man over 30. I don't need no one, I'm by myself, I do you dirty. Fix up, learn to fix up from early. I don't drink no fizzy drinks, I'm only having purdies. Showed them the ropes, don't be moving like you showed me. Very antisocial, I ain't really on the socials. Real life, it's my real life, I'ma show you we ain't talking no more.
Yeah, big up Warren there, man. Yeah, I like your little style there, son. You got your swag on. Well, you're tight.
Be trading US 30, money I for mix, money can't do me dirty. Money I for mix, money can't do me dirty.
Yeah, one called Very Sweets. Yeah, I mean, 2 brothers back to back. Right, I'm gonna go into a couple. I'm gonna go. In fact, I'm gonna chat for a little bit more, and then I might run out the last 15 minutes with just reading. Yeah, because my concerns is still global. Let's have a look. You see what I'm gonna do now? I'm just gonna pick up some things that some trending news on the phone. Like, you know, I listen to a lot of stuff. I take in a lot of stuff, but I just don't believe a lot of things because there's a lot of things being said out there that people are saying. It don't make no sense. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things people are putting out there that is kind of borderline lies. That'll be like when I get a chance. Hopefully, we'll go into all of the so-called black conscious community and the guys, a lot of the brothers out there that's peddling lies to make money and using the ignorance of black people to capitalize off. Because we do have a lot of them, and they're the wolves in sheep's clothing. That's got a brand, a culture brand that they want people to purchase, and they do nothing for the community. They don't bring no knowledge in. They just tell you stuff. They use the white supremacy thing as a excuse to extract money from their own, and they're no different. Yeah, I mean, I see them as the same. So yeah, we're gonna look at some stuff. Let's have a look, because as I said, there's a lot of things happening on this earth, and a lot of the things you'll notice I play is American, because we don't have enough British people covering certain topics that we need to cover. Whereas these Americans, white and black, they cover everything. So we need to have more people on the ball. I'm going to try my best to be one of those people. But we do need to have more people on the ball reporting things that we need to really be aware of. Yeah, as we know about the energy situation coming in October is just like a few weeks or 1 week away. Sorry, and we now know that the prices are going to go up. It's not going to go up as much as what they claimed it was going to be, but still, once we accept that, then obviously the rest of it will just fall into suit. That, with the cost of living, the way food's gone up, oil's gone up like nearly 200%. I'm not even joking, because the oil I bought about 5 months ago, it's nearly run out. I went to the shops to go and look at the price, and it's double. So it's well, that's 100%, over 100%. It's enough. It's enough. So we've got to make plans for this. I see more and more people by the food banks. I see friends of mine that I knew was in better positions going to food banks. I just thank Allah that the food banks is there, because, you know, we need people to be able to have access to food and drink at all times. So it's a blessing, yeah, I mean, and there's no shame in it, no shame. And if you know in your heart that you're going to be economically on your back in advance, don't let it happen. Go to a food bank, get some food. There's no shame. The food is for everybody, you know. In my house, the amount of food we waste a week, you know, food is for everybody. So don't feel no way. The people that I feel away about are those people that know well full that they got money in the bank, that they're well to do, and still take handouts and still take food. That's wrong, because somebody else could do with that. You know, there's always those that do that. There's always those whose guts bigger than somebody else's, and, you know, that's their problem. But, you know, don't let it be somebody else's problem, because, you know, somebody else has to eat. You know, it's like when the pandemic was in its full swing and we was all running the shops and swiping the aisles of the supermarkets. I made sure that I didn't take everything. I could have, but I try my best to think of somebody else behind me that might need it, because you know, sometimes you know you can indulge and go too far, and then when it's your time of need, you don't get it. You know, so yeah, it's the times where we're reaching in for the way the economics is moving is very troubling. But it doesn't mean we're going to suffer by that, because with every particular trouble, there's always a solution. And with every curse, there's a blessing. So we can change things. We don't have to have it like this. As I was quickly said about Black Wall Street, that will be something we'll talk about in when I do the 4-hour business expo. We're going to go into that, and we're going to talk about how we made each other flourish through bad times. So just because the times are bad, it doesn't mean we have to fall and be stuck in the ditch. We've always been used to bad times. I think with black people, we've always been preparing for the worst from day one. You look in our cupboards, we've always got a ton of milk or a ton of not bread, but a ton of perishables, a ton of canned foods. You know, we've always got stuff ready. So we're naturally like preppers. But it's just, you know, it's important that I remind everybody in this, you know, we don't know what's coming for next year. So it would be good to make sure that your cupboards are stacked, you know, to its full potential, especially as we don't know how much food's going to increase on again. So it will be good, you know, and I'm hoping by that time I've got my research properly done, that I can have like list of farmers and a list of people that can supply food. You know, that can supply food, or where they have their where they have the what they do it again when they bring their markets. That's the word, markets, where they keep their markets. I'll try and find out, because we do need to know. You know, we need to start thinking about bulk buying. We need to think about buying as a community. We need to think about buying foods in bulk together and splitting the cost, because you know, that's going to make things easier, and it's going to make things better. I mean, right now, there's a lot of import coming from Jamaica and Caribbean. We're supposed to link up with the importers, you know, so that when they land, we get first pick, you know. That's the kind of things we've got to be thinking of, you know. So these things, you know, we've got to think about what could be possibly coming up ahead and being prepared. Have you noticed I haven't really said too much of the conspiracy stuff? Eubank and Ben's having a fight. The young Eubank, the young Ben. Us oldies, any of the oldies my age know about this. You know, the two daddies hate each other. I'm watching the fight. I don't give a damn. That fight is going to be off the chart. And I have Ben to win, because you see, Eubank as a man, older man, he's gone soft. His son, he's a good boxer. I think some of that softness will rub onto the son, yeah, especially when he's moaned about the weight and everything. I actually see Boy knocking him out, but you know, I could be wrong. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight. Eubank versus Ben, the juniors, you know. So I'm a boxing fanatic. I'm into all forms of the arts, the martial arts. I love all of them. I like to see it. I used to do it. I'm old now. I can't do nothing. You know what I mean? All I can do is just chat on this chair for a minute, and then go and do two bit of work, and then get nagged when I get in. That's about it. I don't want to say, yeah. So I said about the war now, yeah, because I am very concerned about how things will pan out. I mean, I was speaking to one of my friends, and she told me she knows where there's an underground place where we can go, which I will find out where that is. But you know, it's sad that we have to make these kind of plans, and I will definitely do it, because I've got dependents that, you know, they rely on me, and I have to make sure that when these, you know, if anything, you know, God forbid that, you know, that it happens, that I have to be prepared. You know, we have to be. All of us has to be, because you know, if we're taken off guard, it could be devastating. And as I said, with us, we've got the elders in the community. We've got to start pulling our stuff together. You know, yeah. So yeah. I'm just looking at some news. Anything I see that's worth talking about. Yes, homeless South London families sent 85 miles away to Midlands. Well, it can't be that bad. Yeah, I mean, that's supposed to be a piece of news, but I'm not even looking into that, because yeah, they might be going to a better place. Yeah, we hope anyway. Yes, cars going towards electric. That's another thing. That's another nonsense. I mean, right now with the mileage on the road, 20 miles per hour. My advice to everybody that drives, I mean, I've said this to Miss Madam, and to anybody I know, to my daughter, and to anybody I know is driving, your best bet nowadays for driving is just take a zip car or a rental car and use it as you see fit, because it just doesn't make sense economically, and it doesn't make sense logically, because now most of these roads you can't drive down at no speed. So, and it's just going to get worse, and they're blocking off many roads, making it uncomfortable to drive. It would be, how can I put it? It'd be foolish to be thinking now that you're going to need a car to move here, there, and every day. We don't use the car as much as all that, and I think, the rental is the best way forward, and it's the most economical, or a scooter. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to advocate scooter riding because we say it's on private land. Remember that you've got to have it on private land, and you're going to have it taxed and insured. That's what they say. So I'd advise scooters. I mean, soon I'm going to have a line of scooters selling. As for those that are serious about those things, will know how to contact me. I'll be having scooters from China, very high spec ones, but that's in the future. I'm just in the process of sorting that deal out now. Yes, transport. So that was just about transport, about being economical, not spending unnecessary money, and remembering that all cars are going to be going towards electric by 2030, so they say. I can see it happening before that, because everyone's making this big push towards the electronic vehicles, and it's really I just don't understand it, because I found out from a few scientists I was studying, and they're talking about there's so much oil on this planet. They reckon there's as much oil as water, and oil should never be expensive. It should be literally cheap like water. So, and let's say cheap, because water isn't cheap really, because water's supposed to be cheaper than what it is as well. But it's basically, they were saying basically this stuff about fossil fuels and all of that, it's untrue. So, we need to know about these things. Knowing about it ain't going to do much for us, because that's what they're doing. They're pushing towards electronic vehicles, and that's what they're going to do, and phase out the petrol. I mean, there's no doubt there's going to be people still riding around in petrol, but probably they're going to try and make it unattractive by bumping up the price of oil. We don't know, but I prefer oil. I mean, I ride scooter, electronic vehicle, and I find it very, very, very good. I mean, I can see if they translate it the way I feel on a scooter to a car, I can understand, but I think for the planet it's a lot of stress. It's just like Bitcoin, you know what I mean? Because when you're using a lot of energy, to produce energy, when there's a more tactical way of doing it. It's draining on the planet, and it depends on the way they draw in the electricity as well. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's just like Bitcoin. When the way they mine it. And when they mine it, they use a lot of energy as well, and that's unethical. And that's the reason why I don't have faith in Bitcoin. I don't think it's good for the planet, and the planet won't let it succeed, because it's not good for the planet. So yes, I was just saying vehicles, electric vehicles. Just remarking about that. Not that important. Anybody trading in dollars has to watch out. They're saying that the dollar's about to go down. We'll see. We've been hearing that for the most amount of years. I have faith that it will, but I just don't know when. I'm just keeping an eye on everything. But right now, it seems to be doing all right against the pound. So, I see that the pound has lost a little power, and the dollar's slowly crept back up. So we've talked about bills coming up, children in schools. Parents got to think about homeschooling, because the way this world is going, they're going towards like taking power from the parents, and especially with the near misses with COVID, with the injections, because they was going for our children, and it's just by the grace of God we stood our ground, and this didn't happen. We've got to be mindful. We've got to be mindful. We've got to be we've got to look at this system in its entirety and see, is it really of any service to our children? Even the entertainment industry, which is so perverse, there's a lot of perverted things coming through the entertainment industry, and it's targeting our children. And it's like, I was sitting down watching Lava with my son, and seeing the nastiness in there, and I was like, wow, this is not right, man. This is nonsense. I mean, so we have to look at these things, because we need to be taking more control and more power, because with the immorality, what they're trying to teach the children at an early age in school, we have to make a stance against that. We did that in our school when they wanted to teach certain ideologies that we weren't having, and they were all to do with the alphabet, and we didn't want it. And we stood outside the school, we made a petition, and we told the teacher, by no way, shape or form this is going to happen, and it never happened. But no doubt they'll postpone it for another day, but we have the power still to stand up against things. And again, the ultimate would be just to come out of it completely. We need to start thinking of building our own institutions that teach our children. We need to take that power back, because we have more than enough money in the community to do it, and we just have to find a way to fully appropriate our money towards the right direction and put it into things that's going to help the children. We really do need private schooling for our children. We need to get rid of all of the entertainment that our children are trapped in as well, because it's not helping. All this Peppa Pig, all this stuff I'm guilty of giving my kids to watch. I've stopped them watching certain programs. I'm going to try and go whole hog and go all the way and get rid of all of them. But we've got foolish programs for the children. We need to boycott all of them, and that will be on in the show in the future, because I do want to get us thinking, and not just thinking, be prepared to get up and boycott. If I get enough bodies around me, I'll do it. I'll come out. We'll go out together and just start looking at places and saying, right, we don't want to shop from here no more. We're going to boycott that because that hasn't served us. We just do a list of all the places that ain't serving us and shut them down. Because we've got to start getting things into order to create the world we want to create for our children. And it ain't going to happen by us just constantly moaning, or me coming on this show and just saying la 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 la. We got to get up and do something about it. So activity, is the best speaker. You know what I mean? He says it all. When activity moves, everybody hears. You know what I mean? When activity makes a move, it's sin, even throughout the universe. It's activity that makes things happen. So we are lucky. We're in a world where we've got so much knowledge around us, and that we have the ability to now enact whatever we want. We have the power to do this. And no matter about the opposition, that's cool. But we have the power to do this. And this is cool. You know what I mean? So we've got to start use these powers. We've got to start, feel that, it's our responsibility. This earth is our earth. We was given this earth by the Most High, who entrusted us as caliphs. It says in the Quran, he made the black people as caliphs of earth to look after the earth in his absence. And absence only meaning that he's just watching to see what you do. We haven't done that much. We've let other people take our responsibility, and we haven't taken the responsibility for ourselves. We haven't taken the responsibility for ourselves. That is our responsibility, and it is because, unbeknownst to all my people, everybody's following us. You make one slang, they copy. You make a dance move, they copy. Who originates all these things? Even the argument about hip-hop in America, about, and I agree with the founding, the FBA is about that, about black people originating hip-hop, and the Latinos jumping on board trying to do like they was part of it. I understand all of that. We are the architects of so much things, but we just don't we do it naturally, so we don't. It's not a big thing to us, but we've got to start being conscious about this. Look at what you do. Congratulate yourself on when you do something great. You understand me? Because a lot of these devils won't do it. They won't do it. They won't congratulate you. They'll just watch you and try and steal your ideas. There's so much intellectual property that's been stolen, as well as ideas that make money, commercial ideas. It's just ridiculous. So we've got to start look at what we do and be conscious about it. You're consciously leading. Be a conscious leader. You're melanated, you move, they're watching you. They're watching your slang, they're watching everything. So just lead. Lead by example. I worked with an Asian brother. And he was Muslim like me, and he was trying to get smart with me, telling me about, yeah, bro. And I said, bruh, I goes, you Asian guys, when you first come in the country, you couldn't speak English. It was all bading, bading. And then now, all of a sudden, you're all brah, talking to me like, say, you're above me. I said, bruh, you better know who you're talking to. Because we originated the slang that you're using liberally. So I goes, know what you're doing. You understand me? And we got to remind everybody where it all came from. Yeah? Because that's how our art form gets plundered. Because we don't stand on top of it. You understand me? You have to stand on top of your culture and be like a vanguard for it and say, yeah, you're allowed to come into the culture, but just know your place. Know who's originated it and know who you are within it. You know? That's why I'm not hearing this stuff about Eminem, the greatest rap god alive, because it's racist. Yeah? And if anybody knows hip-hop, really knows hip-hop and the essence of hip-hop, will know that he's a million times more better rappers than Eminem. Yeah? And he's copied a lot of brothers anyway. His style, some of the styles he got. And he hasn't got flow. He can rap good, but he hasn't got the artistic flowing like a Black Thought. Like, you know, like these guys. Black Thought is about 100 Eminems, but he ain't been, nobody's calling him the greatest rapper alive. And that's why these guys feel away, because when you're taking a white brother like that and you exemplify putting him high above those that's been doing more work than him and from before him, it just shows you how sick our own people have become, because it's just ridiculous. And a lot of our people are clout chasers. They say it because the other one said it, or this other peer said it, and he said it, so I'm not going to be out of place if I say, get out of it. Just accept the fact that as a white brother, because we're not used to white people being good at these art forms, that he's good. You understand me? But not no rap god. No way, shape or form. It's just ridiculous. And it's you know, and for anybody to agree with such things, God bless them. But you know, I'm not denigrating my culture or my people's self belief and accomplishments to accommodate somebody else. You know what I mean? Because you can always accommodate somebody else, but you don't have to denigrate yourself. And you don't have to say he's so great. You understand me? No, you don't. All you can say is, yeah, it's well done. You know, you've come into the culture, you've learnt from us, and you've excelled. That's the correct way it should have been said. You've excelled within what we've shown you. Now here's your next mission. Bam. You know, and then look at the ones that's always been doing it. Give them their flowers. To give the Black Thoughts their flowers. You know, the KRS Ones their flowers. You know what I mean? Give them their flowers and let people realize that there's a lot of people that's been doing this for long. They're great at what they're doing and we love it. You know what I mean? No Johnny come lately. You know what I mean? Get out of that. I'm not into none of this kind of stuff, and it's just ridiculous. And I think this just shows you how a lot of us selling out in our culture. I haven't heard Rakim, when a great rapper Rakim saying about Eminem, one of the best. Stop it, mate. You understand me? I don't know how much money they paid you, man, but stop it. You understand me? Because he's all right. You understand me? But he's definitely not the best. And when I get to be playing more music, you'll understand why. When I will be playing you some tunes, some hip-hop tunes, if I'm allowed to, and I'll play you some back-to-back with Eminem so I can show you the difference. You know what I mean? For those that rap, that know wordplay, cadence, flow, he's all right. You understand me? But he's not the best. Definitely nowhere near God status, and definitely not even high enough in height to do Black Thought's shoelaces. So we've got to get this correct. So that's my little rant about the music industry part of the rap, because I'm really upset with the way we overdo it when we trying to bring in our white brothers and sisters. We feel like we've got to, like with me, sometimes I'm guilty of it sometimes. It's almost like your Uncle Tom in it, but it's like we want people to feel comfortable and not feel what we felt in racism and the dejection and stuff like that. But sometimes we can go too far of accommodating our white brethren and sisters. You know, they just got to accept it for what it is. You know what I mean? The world is not a nice place, and you know, whether they like it or not, their predecessors have said it like this. We're trying to undo it and bring peace, love and harmony, and we're trying to make it inclusive for everybody with no hatred and no barriers, you know. But at the same time, it must be done in order, and it must be realistic, and it never ever be in some fantasy. You know what I mean? Because we never got here just like that. There's been a lot of pain, a lot of bloodshed. You know, 1976, I remember I was at the carnival. I was a kid, and I kind of snuck out, you know, when I was a kid, and I went with some friends that lived next door, and we lived in Victoria at that time, and I travelled all the way down. I'll never forget that. Travelled down to Grove, and to watch what the feds was doing, how they was calling us niggers and screaming off obscenities, pushing out their wage packet, laughing at black people. You know what I mean? Encouraging the fighting. You know, yeah, this was nonsense. Beating down black. I saw it myself as a kid. That's why I made my mind up. None of them things is gonna happen to me. I see them beating down on man. I see man them times with the small can of special brew dashing it at the feds. I was caught up in a war zone, and I was like, wow, my mum and dad see me here. The war zone I'll be getting, I'll probably want to stay in the carnival. But I remember these things, and seeing it, you know, people don't understand what, you know, how you would feel, you know. And there's a lot of white people need to understand that what we've gone through, what we feel. You understand me? You need to be empathic. You need to put yourself in the position of us so you can understand us. You can't sympathize from the outside with a there, tap, oh yeah, just to keep us quiet. You got to be in the mix. You got to be in it. You got to be really in it. You understand me? And be willing to go in it, and be willing to roll your sleeves up and roll yourself up in it. Willing to get naked and roll up all in it. You know what I mean? Because this situation that we've gone through is nothing short of dehumanization and demoralization of a nation. You know? And it's been done systematically. So, you know, in doing the repair and bringing back the love and doing everything in the way we've been doing it is nothing short of a miracle, because it just shows you how God is with us. And we are God's chosen people because we're full of love, and we always do things lovingly. And no matter what bad's been done to us, we always see a positive way round. So that's what this is about. And that's why I'm here, is to come with that positive way round. You know, we're on Blessed Radio 1 FM, bringing that knowledge, bringing the wisdom, bringing the love, bringing the overstanding for the people to realize that we can change things together. And it's going to take a lot of pain, healing, saying words that we might not necessarily like. There's going to be things that a lot of people ain't going to want to hear. But you know what? It's going to make us stronger and better. It's going to make us more wiser, and it's going to make us appreciate each other even more. So that's why I say what I say as I say. And the reason being it's going to be like this is that I want to see peace. I don't want my children growing up in the way I grew up, you know what I mean, and the stuff I went through. I want them to see a peaceful life. I don't want to be swinging no fists because you've seen that you've been dealt with wrong. You know, I don't want them to go through all of that. I don't want them to go through the feds trying to mess around with you and trying to pull you because you're black and still not addressing that situation. Because, you know, I touched on that subject, but it's just sad, you know what I mean, because it's just, you know, it's hurtful. And it's hurtful to know that many of us have to walk through that trauma in our minds every day to deal with this every day as a normality. So that's why there's going to be a lot of emotion. There's going to be a lot of anguish. There's going to be a lot of anger. But we're going to work through it. We're going to deal with it. And we want our white counterparts to really take heed. And if you say you love us and you say you're with us, stand with us then. Show us by example. And that's what we're on about now. But I'm going to play 1-2 track now before I sign off. I think I've done the whole thing. I didn't think I'd stayed this long. Next week it will be a better format. Brother David's going to be with me. We're going to go through a few things. We're going to be more organized, and it's going to be fire, you know, because whenever that brother comes round, there's fire. And then we're going to hopefully link with his other brother in Gambia so he can give us a news flash of what's going on out there. So for this week, I tell my people, have a good weekend, what's left of it. Have a very prosperous week. Health, strength, energy, more love, more goodness, more good luck, more good news, more health, you know. And that's all I can offer you guys, is just pure God's love and blessings. I'm going to play one with Anyway the God, because I did promise to play another track. So we're going to just play, I'm going to repeat, because there was a track that touched me last week, yeah. And that track, oh my days. So I'm going to play that track again. I think it was called Real Eyes. Let me see. Excuse me. Yeah, Real Eyes. Is Anyway the God. So just give me a couple of seconds as we count down into that. And that will be me saying goodbye. As I said, stay prosperous, stay healthy, stay strong. I hope the show has been all right for you guys. Not too boring. No one's dozing off on me. Enjoy. Anyway the God.
The Fed lies of this world's past and present times. They hypnotize them, subconsciously tranquilize the brain to control and use for their bad demise. Then reprocess and sold just like merchandise. To work for these devils taking our very lives. With no essence, just existing, stay dreamatized. Brain dead and not free, we stay zombified. The food ain't even real, it's genetically modified. Can't feel, abuse each other to get satisfied. They dress our women so our men can be womanized, lustified, and booty mesmerized. For fun we mess about, getting pissed at nights. Seek substance in drugs just to get heights. Getting fights, pick up women with unknown signs. Not appreciating that we're entering blind. In time a monthly doesn't come, it's blue lines. You don't love her and you can't say it's not mine. Want to care but fight every time you try. Beating baby mother bruised on the outside, but the deepest bruise is on the inside. In the child, the womb is being fed by a hurt mum and stressed man, problem rise. No spirit still zombified, it hits 9. Mum's a newborn to mum, not any surprise. Body exhausted, not realizing new life. Because a dead person don't appreciate life. This is all done by design and disguise. To brain fry, blind sight and dumb minds. And not see the life fully clothed in suit and ties. Notice the evil doings of wickedly wise. Babies are just statistics, innocent cries. For them to neutralize and then be controlled by these devils who studied, watched and scrutinized us as a people, victimized and vandalized. To deplete us from man to beast, dehumanized. Now the child has grown up, demoralized, unstabilized, with guns and knives, beating our wives, police brutalize, men they feminize, all terrorize. Self we cannot find, for my people I have to sympathize. Intrigued by the rubbish that they televise. Our eyes ain't our eyes, it's more like hell, not paradise. Now you can visualize what I verbalize. See his true plan to eliminize. Take with him too, all this rule applies. Like imps we've been demonized. No such thing as a clear sky. Find solutions, cause this is our time to equip the mind. It's up to you to put it right. It's everybody's fight. Realize what you're real.
You heard him? Anyway to God, big him up. Now, my people, I send you more love again. More of everything. Please, God, stay good, stay strong, stay faithful, lift thy head up. Start congratulate yourself on the good things you do and admonish yourself on the things that you don't do so good so you can lift yourself up to do better. We're all out to try and do better. No one's perfect. We're all trying to get there. Remembering that God is with us. We are chosen and elected by him to do better. And you must believe this. Because if you look at what you do in life and what you're contributing towards this life, you will see that he's put you in a position to do better. So we just do better, yeah? So anyway, on that note, have a prosperous week. More love, more beauty. I'm going to just leave out a Niger track in because the Niger thing is the thing. I'm going to play a tune. Just as we came in, we come out. Bit of liveliness. Brother called Techno. Master Techno. This tune, one of my favorite tunes, is called Anyhow. And it's for all of the Niger Massive. Anybody that know good time, like good music, let's just go for it, yeah? Enjoy.
You know what time it is. Say man say we never go Ghana. So now him sing with the bangers. So now him get the banku. With the milk or the girls to the ginger. For many years with the dancers. Back then that shit was the cocoa. Why you can't deform with the boat? Grind man just live like same. Because if you do anyhow, you can see anyhow. You see, I say if you do anyhow, you can see anyhow. You can see. Look at if you do anyhow, you can see anyhow. You can see. I say if you do anyhow, you can see anyhow. You can see anyhow. Give me that booze, mercy, feeling your bruise. Got me in the mood, I'm loving the things you do. Give me that booze, Mercifully your mood. Got me in the mood. I'm loving the way you move.
Yes, in the club when we show other girls bend over. When a man pull up the gas get over.
See, I see the road.